All right, everybody, welcome in to the high noon edition of Pugs Moran Live. I know I called it that. That's because I don't have company today. I don't know. We call it Pugs and Company, but, I am Pugs Moran, your humble host. I do this every day, twice a day at noon. We go from noon till about 2 o'clock or whenever, and then we come back later tonight at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we do what we call the Pillow Talk edition, which is a little bit different than this one. How is it different, Pugs? Well, I'll tell you. You see, during the Pillow Talk edition, we just do whatever the hell we want to do. We just talk. It's more free form. It's more, sometimes silly. This one, however, I like to say that this one is utilitarian. This broad stream, almost said broadcast, going back to my old radio days. No, we're not broadcasting. We're streaming. We're streaming on the Radio Misfits platform, all kinds of podcasts there and everything. And actually, I don't know that we are streaming on the Radio Misfits platform. I know that we are a production of Radio Misfits, and good old Ed Zilla is in charge of all of that, so mighty thanks to him. But yeah, okay, so we Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is. We do this every day at noon. And this show, why do you call it utilitarian, Pugs? By the way, do you see that? That's a new little thing I'm doing because I don't have anybody to talk to at the moment because we're having some technical issues with bringing in the and company part of Pugs and Company. So I'll be doing that. I did it wrong. So I'll be doing that for a while. That's fine. It works for us. I'm also a bit schizophrenic, so you're going to have to put up with that. This show, why do you call this one utilitarian, Pugs? Because what we do here is we go through all the trending topics, things that people are talking about, current events, whatever it is in this world that's happening right now. We try to touch on here in the next couple of hours just to bring you up to speed, just so you know everything that's happening. And let's get that started now. Yeah, it's about time. I'm getting tired of you just rambling on and on about stuff we don't understand. You're making no sense, man. Come on, drill down. I'll do that. Today is the 2nd of December, the 336th day of the year, 337 if you're counting leap year, and we don't do that around here. Leap year. Like we said the other day, let's get rid of leap year. Let's just let's make a uniformity in the month. Every month should have 31 days. The fact that some have 28 and some have 30, I mean, for people like myself, working class people who pay bills at the very last moment, those days screw us out of everything. Those months are bummer months, man, because we lose a day. Ain't nobody want to lose a day. When it comes to the end of the month when you're a working class person and you start looking at the 27th, or 26th, 27th, 28th, you're thinking, all right, I got a couple more days before I need to really lose my shit and start panicking. But on February, screw that. February, 28 days. Are you kidding me? Oh my God, you mean I got to pay all my Christmas bills a little bit earlier? Come on, man. So here's what I propose. Someone who knows math, because I don't know math. I propose that someone do 31 days uniformly, or you know what? Fine. If we have to do 30 days uniformly, that's fine. Our minds will get used to that. At least we'll know how many days in the month we have to pay our bills. So we just do a uniform. There are the same amount of days every month. And if we have to drop a month, or maybe we extend, maybe we drop a month and we give everybody 34 days. Oh, the banks won't like that, Pugs. No, they won't. Because that's probably giving us a little more time than we normally would to pay our monthly bills. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just freeballing this shit right here. I don't know. I'm not a math guy, but there are math guys out there. And if we're getting rid of a month, remember, the months to get rid of, February, it's only 28 days anyway. Can we get rid of February? Do we really need an extension of January? Do we need 2 of those months, the coldest months of the year? Do we need it? No. So let's just jump straight from January right into March. All right, what is the big deal about today? Why is today a cool day? Well, I'll tell you, historically speaking, in this day in 1970, the United States Environmental Protection Agency opens for business. That's right. The great idea of a Republican president. People don't think that. People always think EPA, a bunch of liberals. Nixon started that on this day in 1970. Thanks, Nixon. On this day in 1993, Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar was shot and killed in Medellin, Colombia. I pronounce it like a news anchor. Medellin. If I was really being truthful to myself, I'd produce it as Medellin. Medellin. That's what it reads. I'm an English speaker. It reads Medellin. But because I want to, act like I know what I'm talking about, I pronounce it Medellin. Medellin. Pablo Escobar was killed on this day in 1993, which is crazy because yesterday we just celebrated his birthday. Well, I don't know that we celebrated Pablo's birthday, but we certainly made mention of it. Yesterday was Pablo Escobar's birthday. Today was Pablo Escobar's death day. And if you're not watching Narcos season 1 and Narcos season 2, man, it deals all with that guy. That guy was crazy. Boy, you want to talk about a dude with stories, a dude with a life. Pablo Escobar. Another thing that we talked about yesterday, or at least I made mention of yesterday briefly, on this day in 2015, why did I mention this? Well, we were talking about how we need to get it straight when we call these attacks that we all deal with terrorist attacks. Let's just please remove the political bullshit out of this whole conversation, okay? A school shooter, a psycho kid who walks into a school because, I don't know, he's got some messed up things going on in his head and decides to kill a bunch of his classmates randomly. That's not a terrorist act, okay? The idiot criminal, career criminal who drove his car through a parade because he had committed a crime and was fleeing the scene and didn't know that the roads were closed off for a parade and found himself in the middle of a bunch of people trying to celebrate Christmas. That guy's a murderer. That guy is an awful piece of shit criminal, but is he a terrorist? No, once again, we must apply this label fairly. Terrorism is someone who commits violence in the hopes of creating some form of political change. The 9/11 hijackers, they were terrorists. Timothy McVeigh, when he blew up the Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City, he was a terrorist. There was a political motive behind his act of terrorism. Psychos who just walk into places with guns and kill people aren't terrorists, albeit the people are terrorized. But come on. We need to stay uniformed in these definitions. Otherwise, you get into all kinds of bullshit political stuff. And we don't want to do that here. And you shouldn't want to do that either. If you're calling that kind of stuff terrorism, then you're really either you're ignorant of what terrorism is, or you're just trying to make a point to support some weird ideology that you're carrying around. But I believe I said yesterday when we were having the conversation about what constitutes terrorism, I think I said, I don't know of any of these spree shooters who could be called terrorists. I was thinking of the dude at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas who opened up on the country concert below. I don't think that was terrorism. I think that guy was just an asshole. That guy's just a criminal, a murderer, a demon, a monster, whatever you want to call him. But I don't think he was upset about, taxes or anything like that. And I said, I don't think any of the school shootings can be classified as terrorism. And then I went one step further. I said, I don't know that any of the spree shootings or the other mass killings, mall shootings, movie shootings, whatever it is that we've had to put up with over the last, and it's really been about 20, 25 years, I don't know that any of them are terrorism. And then I was reminded, I said, oh yeah, wait a second. There were those people in Santa Barbara who walked into a Christmas party and gunned everyone down and, they were like jihadists and all that stuff. Well, that happened on this day. I was just talking about that last night. That happened on this day in 2015, the San Bernardino Attack. Saeed Rizwan Farouk and Tashfeen Malik kill 14 people and wound 22 others at the Inland Regional Center in San Bernardino, California. That was a bad one. It was a Christmas party, which I remember at the time going, why are people having Christmas parties on December 2nd? They must have gotten a deal on the room or something. And it was also during the day. So what company holds a Christmas party on December 2nd during the day? I don't know. That sounds rather Dunder Mifflin-esque, if you ask me. But well, I don't mean to make light of the situation because what an awful, awful situation that turned out to be. All right, let's see what else. Oh, big news last year on this day. This is really big news. This was, whoa, I bet nobody even covered it back when it happened, but it truly is important for the greater scheme of things. On this day in 2020, the United Nations Commission on Narcotic Drugs removed cannabis from its list of dangerous narcotics. Now, why is this important? Well, it's important because the UN, represents the global thought, the global opinion on things. And once cannabis was removed from a list of things, cannabis was on a list with like heroin, fentanyl, opioids, all of these truly menacingly ugly things. And weed is beer, man. I mean, weed is wine. I mean, was wine on the list? No. Was beer on the list? No. But as long as cannabis remained on those sorts of lists in the eyes of the world and the globe, you couldn't do research on it. It was, universally declared illegal or illicit and all of these things. So just the very act of the United Nations Commission on Historic Drugs removing it from their list and going, yeah, okay, we've thought about it. We all went in the back room, we smoked a J, and you know what? This stuff's all right. This stuff's fine. This isn't like heroin. It was a very big moment, especially for the pro-legalization people, of which, if you know me, you know that I am very pro-legalization. Boy, I cannot wait for it to be legal here in the state of Texas. It's coming. Oh, it is coming. There is way too much money to be made, and there are way too many deep-pocketed big ballers here in the state of Texas who are already invested in it. They are just waiting, man. So it's gonna happen. It's gonna come. I just left the state, Illinois, where it was legal, and I gotta be honest with you, man. It's pretty great. It's pretty great. It's not a problem. Well, now we're gonna have all these high school kids smoking weed. These high school kids are smoking weed now. Before it was legal. Are you kidding me? Stop it. The only difference is now the high school kid who gets caught smoking weed, it's still illegal because you got to be 21 in the state of Illinois. But it's not as like it's not they don't. It's more of a slap on the wrist at this point. It's like a kid being caught with beer, as opposed to a kid being caught with 10 pounds of heroin, which is essentially what would happen to you if you were 16 and got caught a couple of times with weed. You'd go to jail, your life is over, it's totally ruined. So it was a good move. And it's coming to Texas, trust me. Actually, you know what? It may not come to Texas because the state legislature here in this state is so bogged down by influences and lobbies and, people who probably aren't for it. It's going to have to be federalized. It'll be a federal thing first. And once that happens, please. And then what are we going to get into? Then are we going to get state authorities kicking in the doors at weed places and in the face, flying in the face of what federal judgment is? I don't think so, though. I don't think so. I think a state like Texas, people like current Governor Abbott and the people who control the Senate and the House here in Texas, the people who make the decisions, I think they would welcome the feds stepping in and making it legal, because then they can make all of their money that they want to make and they don't have to piss off the churches. It's like, well, we didn't do it. It's a federal thing. So maybe that would be the good way. All right, a couple of birthdays on this day. Not a whole lot of great ones, but this is a good one. 1968. On this day in 1968, Lucy Liu was born. Do you like Lucy Liu? Lucy Liu. Boy, she started out on that show Ally McBeal in the 90s. That's the first time I ever saw her. She was in the Charlie's Angels movies. She's what my grandpa would refer to as a looker. She's a fine-looking lady. And you know what's the weird thing about Lucy Liu? She's like in her mid-50s now. Oh, in the early 50s still, I guess. What would she be, 53 today? So still early 50s. She's in her early 50s now, and she can still play a 30-year-old. Lucy Liu is not aging. She is. By the way, Lucy Liu is Chinese. If you were listening last night, you know you know why that's relevant to the conversation here. Happy birthday, Lucy Liu. Also, happy birthday. Want to feel old? Do you want to feel old? Britney Spears is 40 years old today. Britney Spears. Free Britney. She's got all her money. Boy, oh boy, I bet she's throwing herself a big freedom party today. Britney Spears is 40 years old. That really makes me feel old. Because I can remember being like a 30-year-old, and she burst on the scene as like an 18-year-old with the "Oops, I did it again." Remember the little outfit in the video? And I remember being like 30 years old looking at that going, I shouldn't be looking at that. That just feels wrong to me. This is like, what is she, a high school kid? Oh my God, what am I doing here? This is really making me feel about this big. But she's 40 now. She's 40. Freaking Britney Spears is 40. Also born on this day in 1983, which would make him 38. American football player. And, man, one of the people that I don't know what to do about. Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay Packers quarterback. As a Bears fan, I used to suffer from Stockholm syndrome when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, where I hated him. He held me prisoner mentally. I hated him. And then, he did that thing this year where he scored the touchdown, looked up at the crowd in Soldier Field in Chicago and said, "I still own you. And you know what I said? I said, yes, you do, master. Yes, you do. My captor had won me over. I didn't like him, but I was like, yes, okay, I submit to you, Aaron Rodgers. You own me." Boy, I'll tell you, I think that possibly the Buffalo Bill fan could be about to experience what we Chicago Bears fans experienced. Also, maybe the LA Ram fans experienced this. And what I'm talking about is when your arch rival has a great quarterback who just destroys you for years and years, and you just can't compete with the quarterback on this other team. And then they follow it up with another equally as great quarterback for another decade. But we had that with the Bears Green Bay Packers. We had to deal with Brett Favre. For what felt like forever. And then Brett Favre is gone, and we're like, oh, thank God he's gone. Well, here comes Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has been even worse for my Chicago Bears than Brett Favre ever was. And I say the Los Angeles Rams because their arch rival is the San Francisco 49ers. And they had to deal with Joe Montana. And then Joe Montana leaves, and Ram fans are like, okay, thank God we can breathe easy. Nope, here comes Steve Young. Back-to-back Hall of Fame quarterbacks. The worst. And I say that maybe Buffalo Bill fans are going with this, experiencing this now too, because Buffalo Bill fans have had to deal with Tom Brady. And now they got Mac Jones. It's just like they reloaded. And I don't know what Mac Jones is. I can't put Mac Jones in the category of, say, an Aaron Rodgers or a Steve Young. But holy crap. The Patriots are not going to just lay down and let the Buffalo Bills suddenly take over that division just because they got Josh Allen. Is Josh Allen the next Jim Kelly? A true top-tier quarterback who just cannot get it done? I don't know. I hope not. I like Josh Allen. And I secretly like the Buffalo Bills, even though I can't. Sunglasses during Pillow Talk. He's from Buffalo. He loves the Buffalo Bills. He's incredibly cruel to me about my Chicago Bears, and I used to be incredibly cruel to him about his Buffalo Bills. But then at some point, it dawned on me that this is all manufactured. I don't honestly hate the Buffalo Bills. I actually rooted for the Buffalo Bills through 4 Super Bowls that they lost and broke my heart, not to the degree of Sunglasses, who was born bred and buttered, as they say up there in Buffalo Bills fan. But as somebody who enjoyed the Buffalo Bills, I rooted for them. And look, I lost all 4 of those Super Bowls too. The team I was rooting for lost too. And then here I am years later with some guy who for some reason hates absolutely everything that I like. So I am forced into a corner to then hate everything that he likes. And it's just manufactured. It's just not true. Except he likes LSU, and I hate LSU. That ain't manufactured. best thing that ever happened to me was Brian Kelly leaving Notre Dame and going to LSU. Thank God. All right, but we digress. And yes, I know. It's on brand for me to misuse that word. Who else is having a birthday today? Oh, okay. So here we go. This is so weird. This is another thing that we discussed briefly yesterday. After this show, what I like to do is jump into the chat room because it's hard for me, especially now that I'm doing the show by myself and just trying to stream for 2 hours of just, stream of consciousness. Maybe that's what the show should be renamed. Pugs Moran, Stream of Consciousness. Although that's not entirely true because there is some framework because we are going to be digging into the stories that are popping up today on the trends and all that stuff. But yesterday after the show, I like to, I say it's like a Marvel film. When the credits are going, you think the show is over, we're playing our closing theme and you might be wanting to sign out and all that stuff. Well, as soon as the theme ends, I stay on and I'm going to start engaging with the chat room because it's difficult for me to do that during the actual course of the show. So yesterday during that session, the chat room, we were talking about a hip-hop star, a late and deceased hip-hop star named Juice WRLD. Juice WRLD was born on this day in 1998 and died on this day in 2019. No, not on this day. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. He was born on this day in 98, but he died in 2019. Juice WRLD... what was he? No, Lucid Dreams, I think, is he was a hip hop guy from the South Side of Chicago who was very big on the South Side of Chicago, especially in hip hop circles. I wasn't really aware that he had been bigger outside of there because I don't really listen to national hip hop stuff. I just don't. So yeah, apparently he was famous. Apparently he was very famous. And my son, who lives in Plano, Texas, he's a huge Juice WRLD fan, and it has nothing to do with the fact that he's been to the South Side of Chicago. In fact, I don't even think he probably knows where he's from. He just knows that he likes the music. So his mom has written a letter to him today, and Juice WRLD is trending. And if we have time, we're going to get into why he's trending, and we're going to go over his death. His death was a weird, bizarre, certainly not what you would expect. Right now, you're thinking, oh, Juice WRLD, a rapper from the South Side of Chicago. I bet I can guess how he died. No, you can't. No, you can't. This is not a typical hip-hop death. So we'll go into that, and I'll tell you exactly what happened there, because it's a very strange story. Let's see. What do we have to get into today? Oh, the day of, right? We like to do the day of first before we jump into these. Hold on. And I'll tell you what we're going to do, and then we'll touch on a whole bunch of these. All right. Today is the National Day of, let's see. Bum, 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 bum. I know what a couple of them are because they're trending. Today is National Special Education Day. There you go. God bless special education teachers, huh? I mean, that's you think kids who are not in need of special education are difficult to deal with. I mean, imagine, oh my goodness. Special Education Day is today, so God bless the teachers and God bless them. Today is also National Mutt Day. Mutt Day. Mutt. Not legendary rock and roll producer Mutt Lange, but mutts, as in the sorts of dogs that if you're spending like $1,000 for your purebred Pekingese stallion, or whatever the hell it is, Pekingese stallion. What is it? It's like a mix between a horse and a little dog. That would be interesting. Now I want to see a Pekingese stallion. Yeah, if you're one of those people that go out and get purebreds and all that stuff, you suck. You suck. You got to get a mutt. Mutts are like the best dogs ever. Mutts know that they're jacked up. Mutts do not walk around like they're pretentious. They don't have all of these weird hiccups and janky behaviors due to generations and generations of inbreeding to keep that breed pure. Mutts have character. Mutts are awesome. Mutts are the best dog. There, I said it. It's also today, December the 2nd, National Fritters Day. I don't know what fritters are. I know. I mean, I've heard of fritters. Something fried, but you would think. Look at me. You'd think I'd be well versed on what fritters are, but I'm actually not. All right. We do start each and every show with a little something that we like to call our moment of joy, and we'll get that out of the way because here's today's moment of joy. And you know what? I don't care if this one is just for me. Oh, wait a second. Is this wrong? This might be wrong. Oh, yeah, it is. It's wrong. All right, so. All right, never mind. Hold on. I don't mean never mind to the moment of joy. I mean, never mind to that one. I was going to share something that's wrong. Hold on. Here we go. Gotta find it. Big news locally that I'll break here in a second. What the hell? Now I can't find it. There we go. All right, here we go. Here's going to be our moment of joy. It's a nice one. Sometimes they don't really make sense. This is a nice one, and I'll need a little explanation on it. All right, here we go. Our moment of joy. All right, now here, what is this moment of joy? See this guy here? What a wife, huh? Look at that. That is a hell of a wife, and she's pregnant. Pregnant wearing that dress. It's one of these here baby reveals. This is a baby reveal for my guy, a guy that's always going to hold a special place in my heart, Mitchell Trubisky, former quarterback of the Chicago Bears, a guy who was wronged, a guy, look, this dude was run out of town on a rail because Chicago sports radio talkers are mostly assholes. Mostly. This kid was drafted number 2 in the draft by the Chicago Bears by a guy who should never be able to draft anyone again. Was it his fault that he was taken number 2? No, of course it wasn't. And all through his time with the Chicago Bears, this poor kid was living under the weight of being a number 2 pick while watching guys taken after him. Mainly people like Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes, who, quite frankly, I think we can remove Deshaun Watson from that list. Because Deshaun Watson, sure, he had a couple of good seasons, but oh boy, I'd rather have Mitch Trubisky on my team right now than Deshaun Watson, accused rapist, accused whatever. So we ran him out of town. Why? Because at this point, the people of Chicago were still completely believing that the offense was terrible because our number 2 quarterback sucked and the GM screwed up picking him at number 2, and that our coach, Matt Nagy, was infallible. Matt Nagy's such a nice guy. Well, now, guess what? We all know it, don't we? We know that Matt Nagy sucks. We know that Matt Nagy's offense didn't work with Mitch Trubisky, but guess what? It didn't work with anybody else he brought in either. Matt Nagy said, my offense will totally work with Nick Foles. What happened? It sucked. My offense will totally work with Andy Dalton. What happened? It sucked. Well, now I've got Justin Fields, and he'll be able to run my offense. His offense sucks. And we ran this poor kid out on a rail. So here's your moment of joy. He landed in Buffalo. He is a backup behind Josh Allen. He's going to be a free agent this year. He's going to get snatched up by somebody and get himself a nice little payday. He is a very competent and talented and athletic young man who was thrown into a meat grinder and was never given a fair chance to develop. But I watched every snap this kid took. I watched every single one of them. And yeah, he made some mistakes because he's a rookie or because he was in his first year working in an incompetent offense. Sure, he made some mistakes, but he also flashed. This kid also flashed, and there ain't a Chicago Bear fan out there that can deny that. This kid showed some things that went, oh, we can build on that. So here he is now, after being completely run out of Chicago and demonized by Chicago Bear fans for years. He's having a baby. Let's see what kind of baby Drew's having. What the fuck is going on with that sound? That sound is terrible. All right, kiss your wife. That sound is like way too high. I'm all the way down. All right, come on. Hey, we'll do it one more time. All right, Trub, what are you going to be a boy or a girl? Hey, Trub got himself a boy. Good for him. All right, that's it. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with my, ranting about Mitch Trubisky. Look, I'm not saying, I am not saying that he's Dak Prescott. I am not saying that he's, I'm not even saying he's Justin Fields. I'm glad that we have Justin Fields now. But, man, People were just so unfair to that kid. And again, it is not his fault that a general manager took him second overall before Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. That's not this kid's fault. Probably happy to have been taken there in the moment. Not so happy, though, after a couple of seasons because the pressures were insane. All right, so here we go. Let's talk about some of the things that are trending today because that's what we do here. Here's a big one. This is a big little piece of news locally. Let's see. I'll pull this up for you. Okay, so longtime listeners of me know that I am a very big fan of The Police. The 80s trio, The Police. I love The Police. The Police are so good, man. Those albums they hold up. They are just master musicians. They are just at their peak. They are just wonderful. They took punk rock and the British punk sound and they refined it with jazz and look, I'm not going to get into why the Police are jazz. Like jazz kind of sucks, but when you mix it with punk rock, it actually comes out kind of cool. So the Police are one of my favorites. But Sting is coming to Dallas. Hey, check that out. To open a bar, no less. Sting has announced that he is doing a concert here in Dallas. It's going to be solo Sting. So it's going to be all the worst possible stuff he's ever done. I'm not a fan of solo Sting. I'm not. There's a couple of songs that if they come on the radio, I'll be like, oh, okay, this is a bit of a toe tapper. I can get behind that. But for the most part, the Police were cool because of Stuart Copeland and Andy Summers, who sort of balanced the unbelievably thick and pretentious Sting. Sting is a pretentious guy, man. And the other two guys in the band were like cool guys. They were just like cool guys. Yeah, whatever, Sting. Whatever you think. But Sting, when he went solo, he lost me. I'm out on the solo Sting stuff. Although, like I said, there are a couple of songs that I do kind of like. Like, what's the one song that I really like? There's one solo Sting song that every time I hear it, I go, man, this is a great timeless song. Oh, yeah. Fortress Around Your Heart. That's a great song. If I built this fortress around your heart. Boom, 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 boom. That's a good song. That is a good song, but it's solo Sting in doses for me. The 11-time Grammy Award winner will perform at the grand opening of the Design District's new venue on Tuesday, December the 14th. Tickets go on sale Friday. That's just like 2 weeks from now. A little bit, yeah. 2 weeks from now. So the Design District, which I'm not real familiar with because the Design District was like a hobo encampment the last time I lived here in Dallas. And then I moved away back to Chicago for a few years, and now I come back, and the Design District is like, whoo! Well, they're getting Sting to come to open a new venue down there, which our boy E the artist, he's got a studio down there in the Design District. There's a Virgin Hotel. There's it is like the design. Like I said, it used to be a hobo encampment. It used to be like a real sketchy part of Dallas. And then I go away for a few years and I come back and it's Oz. It is like the Emerald City now. It's real upscale, real fancy dancy. It's where a whole bunch of like real highfalutin art galleries are and, creatives are there. Not the creatives that, are in Deep Ellum or in the other areas where they're starving artists and they're doing really tremendous work and all that stuff. No, these are like the rich highfalutin artists, like there's a, what do they got? There's like a super fancy motorcycle museum there for like only rich people who can afford $200,000 motorcycles. It's furniture. Like if you think that a couch should cost $80,000, the Design District is for you. Go on down there and you buy yourself an $80,000 couch that you could probably get for rooms to go for $800. But hey. All right, so he's going to open a new venue. What is the new venue? Let's see. Sting is set to open the newest concert venue this month. The 11-time Grammy Award winner will perform at the grand opening of the Design District's Echo Lounge and Music Hall. Echo Lounge and Music Hall was developed in partnership with Live Nation, Mark Cuban, and the Dallas Mavericks. Yeah, Cuban's responsible for that. Wasn't that a hobo, like the design district, as I said, former hobo encampment was land owned by Mark Cuban, and he turned it into like whatever this fancy thing is. I'm telling you, in 200 years, Mark Cuban's gonna be like one of the fathers of Dallas, one of the guys that really changed this place. The amount of stuff that Mark Cuban has built, developed, and on plots of land that he owned since I came here in 2001 is just incredible. You look at a picture of downtown Dallas in 2001 and look at a picture of downtown Dallas or the surrounding areas of downtown now, it's unrecognizable. It is a completely different city. And I'm not saying he did all of it, but he was a very big player in a lot of the cool stuff that we now have here. The Echo Lounge and Music Hall was developed in partnership with Live Nation, Mark Cuban, and the Dallas Mavericks, and is located near the Mavs headquarters and practice facility. It was originally scheduled to open in 2020 as the Hi-Fi, but plans were halted by the COVID pandemic. Looking at, all right, so I'm looking at some pictures of this place. It's doesn't look big. There are several artists already slated to perform, included R&B pop singer Pink Sweat, EDM trio Cheat Codes, and upcoming pop singers Fletcher and Tate McRae. Okay, so Sting is basically the biggest name. But okay, there you go. So if you're interested in seeing Sting, Tuesday, December 14th, tickets go on sale Friday, if you're so inclined, and here in the area. Whoa, hold on. Again, another thing, we're going to have these little pauses during the shows that I do by myself. Okay, hold on. Let me get back to my place. We can get rid of that. We don't need that. Oh, you know what? A shout out to we're gonna jump right into these things right now. Oh boy. But a shout out to Jeff Glenn. Is Jeff Glenn in the chat room? I don't know if I see Jeff. There he is. Jeff's in the chat room. So Jeff Glenn, last night I was talking about the Omicron variant of COVID-19, and I was saying somebody needs to write a song to Omicron, and I suggested that you could use the music from Genesis's Abacab. That might be good. And then I also suggested Kodachrome by Paul Simon. Well, look who stepped up. Look who stepped up. Jeff Glenn stepped up. He did the Paul Simon parody song. He did it. And I think, okay, first of all, I am greatly appreciative of Jeff Glenn stepping up and penning this little parody song, which I suppose I'm going to try and perform here at the end of the show. Live, one take Johnny. We'll see if it goes over. Hopefully after 2 hours of me speaking, I'll be able to have a voice, because it's not an easy song to sing. Paul Simon, not considered the greatest singer-songwriter in the world, but he gets a note, a level, a tone that I can't really do. Trust me, I've been trying. I've started last night. Jeff Glenn, thank you for doing it. And by the way, did I mention it's good? It's good. It's actually good. Not actually good. I shouldn't say that. But I don't know Jeff in that way. When I give James Parker a writing assignment for a parody song, I know it's going to be good. If I were to give my former partner Kelly a writing assignment for a parody song, I know it's going to be good because, and myself, look, if I'm doing my own horn, I've written a few parody songs for a guy named Kevin Matthews over the years, and I've been told they were pretty good. So I know how it's done. But that's another thing that I don't think you guys know about. Kelly was really good at writing parody songs. Kelly, we didn't do much of it on the Pugs and Kelly show, probably because we had James and Eric and other producers. But Kelly made her bones in the radio business doing parody songs for Danny Bonaducci back in the day, and she was really good. But yeah, she never really got a chance to show that, I don't think, on our show. But Jeff Glenn, man, you were great. It was great, and I'm going to legitimately try and perform it. Last night, after I mentioned that there is a parody song to be written to Paul Simon's Kodachrome for the new Omicron virus, I started to try. I had the first line in my head. And that's what you typically do. You take the first line of the song, you change it a little bit, and then you run from there. And I couldn't sing the first line of the song. If you're familiar with Paul Simon's Kodachrome, it starts out with, when I think back on all the crap I learned in high school, right? So I started, my first line was, when I think back on all the masks I've worn in lockdown, right? So I'm walking around going, when I think back on all the masks I've worn in lockdown, right? So I couldn't get it. I couldn't find that note. And then it moved on from there. My version moved on from there. I sang about, ski masks because it's cold. I sang about the COVID masks that we were all forced to wear. I sang about oxygen masks that I needed. I sang about ventilator masks. It was all about masks and COVID. So that's where I was going with it. Jeff went somewhere different. Jeff is better than where I was, and I appreciate it. And I didn't stop writing it because I knew that Jeff was going to step up. No, I stopped writing it because, oh my God, you guys. Do you know how long something like that takes? I mean, you got to sit down, you got to listen to the damn song over and over again. You got to try and fit the words. It's a whole process. And I told you yesterday, man, I set goals for myself for December. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to run at least 2 or 3 miles a day. I'm going to write at least 20. It was originally 10, but now it's 20. I was going to write at least 10 biographies a day for this book project that I'm working on, and I did none of that yesterday. It's so my freaking day, man. I do 2 of these streams, and there's believe it or not, there's a lot of prep that goes into me being able to stream like this. I got to read a whole bunch of stuff. And then when this is over, there's like an hour where I decompress, and I'm just like, okay, man, that was kind of emotionally exhausting. And that's the time when I'm supposed to go running? I don't think so. And then, stress. I got so much stress. I'm starting to get a toothache. It's not there yet, but I feel like the toothache is coming on, and there is nothing worse than teeth problems. Toothache. It's the end of the month. Bills. Not going to make the bills. I got a car situation. I have had to replace 2 tires since I moved. And luckily I found this little place off Harry Hines that does used tires, instead of going out and buying $200 whatever the tires will cost me. It'll cost me $200 out the door by the time they're all done. It's a rim issue. I'm told by my car guy that you gotta, do it. Neither here nor there. Doesn't matter. My point is, I'm under stress and just sitting around writing a funny parody song about Paul Simon's Kodachrome transferred over into the Omicron virus. Wasn't in the cards. So Jeff Glenn did it instead. And like I said, we'll get to that by the end of the show. I promise. I owe it to him. No matter how bad it's going to be, no matter how sad One Take Johnny trying to do this song live on the stream is going to be, I owe it to him. The dude did it. The dude put it together, and it's good, so we're going to do it. All right, speaking of that, here's some of the things that are trending today. The Javits Center is trending. Do you know what the Javits Center is? The Javits Center is the big convention center in New York City. I believe it's the world's busiest convention center. The Javits Center is trending because a person who attended Comic-Con, some kind of, convention there, recently went home to Minnesota and tested positive for Omicron. When I think back on all the masks I wore in lockdown. No, okay. So Omicron is now in Minnesota. Yesterday the big news was Omicron's in California. Well, now it's in Minnesota. And guess what? It's also going to be in New York. They just haven't discovered it yet. It hasn't spread. So that's a thing that's happening today. But here's the good news. This is the good news. The male who was the carrier of the Omicron, who was at this convention in New York and went home to Minnesota. He's 22 years old. He's fully vaccinated. He felt sick, didn't understand, and just due to being overly cautious, knowing he was vaccinated, he took a COVID test. He tested positive. At that point, he went to a doctor and said, look, I just feel a little fluish. I don't feel really bad. And the doctor's like, well, you're fully vaccinated, right? And he's like, yeah, I am. He's like, okay, well, let's test you. And boom, he popped hot for the Omicron. So luckily, it passed He's already fine. He's fine. He's over it. He's bounced back, and everything is good. 22 years old, relatively healthy, fully vaccinated, caught the Omicron, felt a little fluish, over an abundance of caution, got the test, then went to the doctor to find out what having the test means, and the doctor said, you got the Omicron. Now, the problem with that is, and thankfully he's okay, the thing about Omicron, and this is what's making me nuts. You know, I take a lot of the piss, as our British friends say, out of the media because I'm just so disgusted with the current state of all media. All media is just duplicitous, diabolical, and they're just they have no honest to God desire, I guess would be the word, to actually inform us the way news used to be. News used to be, you know, we're going to set aside this period of the day because the people let us use the public airwaves, and news was a public service. Well, now news isn't a public service. It's a way to earn commercial revenue. And the news media is not being completely above board about Omicron. And yesterday, when talking about Omicron, I mentioned, boy, oh boy, especially CNN. You watch CNN now, and they are acting like this is Ebola, like this is back. And then I said, well, you know, that's interesting because I've seen a couple of fairly legitimate seeming doctors and public health officials go rogue from the alarmist CNN and Biden administration point of view. And again, I'm not getting political. I'm just saying. They've gone a little bit of rogue, and they've been like, hey, slow down. With this Omicron, we don't know how terrible this is. You people are acting like, well, like I said, like it's Ebola. We don't know. Here's what we do know about it, though. And maybe this is why the White House and national health officials are being a little bit, you know, ringing the bell. We know that it's far more, or seemingly far more virulent than the other strains. And what does that mean? Well, that means it's more catching. It spreads quicker and easier, and you know maybe the Delta was contagious as well, but it's seeming to be far more contagious than many of the others. But with that said, we don't know if it's worse. We know the Delta variant was a pretty bad one. That was a big one. But this one, there is nothing to suggest that it's the super deadliest version ever. In fact, there are now, as of today, a lot of studies that are saying, yeah, this actually might be like a weak cousin. This is, it's really catchy. You can catch it real easy, but this is actually kind of a weak cousin. That's what some people are saying. I'm no doctor. You talk to real doctors if you want the straight dope. I'm just saying, the way the media in general is talking about Omicron, you would think it's Ebola. So after having said yesterday, I heard the Los Angeles County Public Health Department spokesperson or official or doctor or whatever say, yeah, this actually might not be that bad. And early testing has shown that people who are vaccinated against it are doing really well. This is not a vaccine defeating variant. This seems like it's getting its ass kicked by the vaccine, so that's fine. And we have the case of the Minnesota man who was fully vaccinated. He caught it. It wasn't a big deal. He just felt a little weird. He's fully over it. He's recovered now, and everything is good. But after having mentioned that yesterday, today this came out. This is in Fortune magazine, although it seems to have been picked up by a number of the other news sources. Here's the headline: Scientists in this. By the way, Omicron is also trending. So we did Javits Center. Why Javits is trending? Because someone caught it there and brought it to Minnesota. Now Omicron is trending. So here's the headline: Scientists push back against idea that Omicron is more dangerous than other COVID variants. Thank God. Thank God people are actually, and again, man, this ain't some disgraced former doctor who's going on Newsmax, just saying nonsense because now he can't practice medicine anymore, so he's trying to be like the counterculture doc. No, these are actual scientists. Here, So I'll just give you the beginning of it. When news of the Omicron variant emerged, countries were quick to shut borders and global financial markets were rattled. Now, as the panic subsides, some scientists are saying the new variant doesn't look so bad. Vaccines seem to be effective against the new variant. GlaxoSmithKline and the World Health Organization have found. The WHO. Oh, I know, Illuminati. Oh, shut up. We got to have trust in some institutions. Illuminati, they're trying to kill us all. Whatever. World Health Organization has found. Scientists around the world reiterated that there is no evidence that the Omicron variant is more deadly than previous strains. Currently, there is no reason for panicking, as we don't see severely ill patients, Dr. Angelo Coetzee, chair of the South African Medical Association, told London's Telegraph. Drugs and vaccines. Drug maker GlaxoSmithKline reported Thursday that in early testing, COVID-19 antibody treatment were effective against new mutations found in the variant, and that they were now conducting in vitro testing to confirm this further. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization, which only labeled the variant a mutation variant of concern last Friday, has now said that the vaccines are likely to protect against severe cases. We still need to find out if there are any losses of protection, but we think vaccines will still protect against severe disease as they have against the other variants, WHO Chief Scientist Suma Swaminathan said. Australia's Chief Medical Officer, Paul Kelly, also said in a recorded message that there wasn't any indication that the Omicron variant was more deadly than other strains. Of the over 300 cases that have now been diagnosed in many countries, they have all been very mild and, in fact, had no symptoms at all. All right, so this is what a whole bunch of world scientists, people who hold positions in organizations, public health organizations, the World Health Organization, the health director of Australia, all of these people are saying things that fly directly in the face of CNN. CNN, Omicron! And I'm wondering, and look, hey, here's what I took away from that. Get vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, we'll see. We'll roll the dice on how it affects you. But I only care about the vaccinated because I'm vaccinated. I only care about whether or not this thing is mutated to the point where now my vaccine is obsolete. That's really all I care about. If you're not vaccinated, hey man, freedom, liberty, Patrick Henry, all that bullshit. Take your chances. I can't worry about you. I'm only worried about myself and about my kid and about, the other people in my life who I love and care about, and they're pretty much all vaccinated. But here's the thing, man, and I'm seeing this, and I hasten to say that this is all people on the left, but it seems to be, and once again, let me preface this. I believe that there are 15% of completely whack job, useless lunatics on the right. And I believe that there are 15% of completely useless whack job lunatics on the left. And then there's 70% of us in the middle who are fairly reasonable, fairly rational. Maybe we drift into those columns with the crazy people because crazy people throw good parties. Sometimes they have fun. But when push comes to shove, there's about 70% of us, I gotta believe, who are normal people. And that's who I'm hoping to speak to. Now, I also understand that within that 70%, you've got a whole bunch of, different kinds of people. Boy, just like COVID-19. There are all sorts of variants inside that middle 70%. But that's okay. As long as you're not storming the Capitol and trying to destroy our country and building gallows and shit like that because you don't like the way a vote went, you're fine. As long as you're not with them. And as long as you're not burning down police stations because you don't like the way a jury came back with or destroying BMW dealerships because, you love the trees. Just don't be with them and don't be with them. And the rest of us, we can figure it out. We just need to tune out all that nonsense. But somewhere in this 70%, there seems to be developing a COVID-19 fetish. And it may sound to some of you like, whoa, well, Pug's been watching Tucker Carlson. No, fuck that. I don't watch that shit. I don't watch that garbage. I don't watch any of the garbage anymore. I can't. I have to find, in the words of Cardi B, or was it Nicki Minaj? I don't know. They're almost the same person to me. I do my own research. You know what I should say from now on? I should say, in the words of Kyrie Irving, I do my own research now. I just have to, look at all different news sources and try to tune out the nonsense. But it seems to me that there are a lot of cheerleaders among normal people, among again, like I said, that's 70% in the middle. There seems to be a lot of fetishists, a lot of cheerleaders for, here we go again, it's going to be horrible, mask up, I'm canceling Christmas. And I don't get that. I mean, look, I understand being careful. I understand doing what's required of you. And by my estimation, that means getting the vaccine, continuing to wear a mask when I'm around a whole bunch of strangers who I don't know. And again, I wear the mask, not for me. I wear the mask because that's how it spreads. Because I have the vaccine, I might have COVID. And I don't know it because it's not affecting me in any way that I don't feel good. Well, that's because I got the vaccine. So now, me walking around with the vaccine, I'm even more dangerous to people who are not vaccinated, because me without the mask is just talking and spread back. Granted, the mask is also a nice way to sort of tamper down the chances that I'll catch it. But again, I got the vaccine, so if I catch it, it's not going to be that bad. But the mask is for other people, so I still wear the mask. Not all the time. Not like Thanksgiving. We were in a very small group of people, and only, I'd say, 50% of the people there were vaccinated, and so I wasn't wearing a mask. That seemed like it would be a bit too. I'm not trying to make a statement. You know what I mean? So there we go. That's but have you noticed the people that really seem to get it's like their entire life for the last 2 years has revolved around being a virtue warrior within the pandemic, of being able to preach at people how they're doing it wrong. The pandemic will never end if you don't listen to exactly what I say. And I'm just getting a little tired of that. Getting a little tired. It's concerning that people are. I'll put it to you like this. Some people don't seem to want it to go away. Some people seem to want to live the rest of their life the way that we've lived the rest of our lives. And, between the pandemic and all the variants and walking into a mall at Christmas time and getting shot by some dude who's upset about his ex-wife cheating on him. What else? We are all staring down the barrel of a major American economic recession. So we've got that. Come on, man. We got to take our victories where we can. The fact that doctors around the world and scientists around the world are saying that the Omicron is more virulent, it's passed easier, but it doesn't really seem to be all that awful as compared to the other strands. I think let's call that a victory. And let's not. I'll tell you what spurred this little rant of mine. There was somebody in the comment section of the WHO who, by all indications, was a far left crazy 15%er, right? And this person was calling the World Health Organization corrupt. Why? Because the World Health Organization said that, this may not be that bad. And this person's like, you're corrupt! You don't know! Well, which is it? Because it used to be the right, the crazy on the right, who was calling the World Health Organization corrupt when they were pleading with us to take the pandemic seriously. So, I don't know. Like weird-ass fetishists. All right, so there you go. So Javits Center is trending. Omicron is trending. What else is trending? Let me see here. Oh, this one trended just before we signed on here. And here, I don't know what it's about. Fifth Amendment. The right to not incriminate yourself. The Fifth Amendment. The Fifth Amendment is trending. So hold on a second. Let me I put this in here because it looked interesting. Let me see what this is all about. And it's trending high, too. It's high on Twitter. It's high on Google. Let me check. Yeah, it's number 2 there. Okay, so Fifth Amendment is trending, and I guess this is why. Breaking. Former Department of Justice official Jeffrey Clark, a central player in Trump's effort to overturn the election. That's a bit... All right. I understand why they're saying it, but... Aren't we all just assuming that he was trying to overturn the... I mean, we know that the people who stormed the Capitol were trying to overturn it. We know that. But isn't the whole purpose of this investigation to determine if Trump was trying? I mean, again, I'm trying to be non-political. I know what I think, but this is supposed to be a news feed. Former Department of Justice official Jeffrey Clark, a central player in, that's declarative, in Trump's effort. They're saying, yes, he did it. Well, we're trying to figure that out. I think he was involved, but I can't say that yet because that's why we have the commission. Department of Justice official Jeffrey Clark, a central player in Trump's effort to overturn the election, has informed the January 6th committee that he intends to plead the 5th. Okay. Chairman Thompson says. Okay. All right. Is this going to be a thing? Because, they're investigating whether or not members of Congress, White House staff, people like that, had anything to do with the organization of the events that went down on January 6th, the events that we all saw. And that's what this commission is about. They're trying to hold people accountable, which I'm all for. Let's hold people accountable because I'm a proud American, and that was one of the most sickening and sad and frightening days that I've ever seen. I always say it reminds me of the time in the early 90s, maybe it was the late 80s, when I was delivering pizzas as a young college kid and CNN was covering live the storming of the Soviet, Congress, I guess. It was the day the Soviet Union fell. I remember being a kid watching this going, wait, so what does this mean? So there's no more Soviet Union? They overthrew the entire country. Now it's going to be a different thing? I mean, I remember watching that. So I knew that it was possible, that you don't take anything like this for granted. Because quite frankly, when I was 10 years old, if you had told me that there would come a time in my adult life where the Soviet Union wouldn't exist, I'd have been like, are you nuts? They're a superpower. They're the yin to our yang. What do you mean they're not going to exist? Obviously, I didn't understand, communism and the ill effects and the economy and all of that stuff. But they didn't seem like they were going anywhere. And then one day, here I am in college watching up on TV in a bar while I'm delivering pizzas going, holy shit, one of the biggest countries in the world is just about to evaporate. And I remember thinking, good thing that could never happen to us. And then on January 6th, I'm watching essentially the same thing. Thankfully, it was thwarted. Thankfully, it was, run by a bunch of baboons who didn't really... they wouldn't have stood a chance if the United States military had just, dropped a couple of Blackhawks above them and just, but we can't do that either. I'm glad it was resolved in the way it was with a limited death toll. But anyway, here's what I want to know. I want to know what happened there. Before I can say who's responsible and who needs to go to jail, because somebody needs to go to jail for trying to take my country down. Somebody needs to go to jail for that. And I want to know who it is, and I don't want it to just be the guy dressed up like a moose, who's the QAnon dude, the QAnon shaman. I don't think it's just that guy. I think that guy's a patsy. I think that there are people above him. Maybe it's some of these weird-ass people that have been elected in the last couple of years who were, basically linked to all of this stuff. Let's see. That's what the January 6th committee is all about, finding out who's responsible. And so they're subpoenaing all these people, and people aren't showing up. I mean, we had Steve Bannon a couple of weeks ago. You're being subpoenaed by the United States Congress, and you're not showing up? My God, 10 years ago, if you had told me that, someone was subpoenaed by the United States Congress and they just didn't show up, I'd have been like, what? Oh, so they're in jail, right? That's like immediate jail time. You can't tell the Congress of the United States after they subpoena you to just buzz off. Apparently you can. Apparently you can, because that's what Bannon did. Bannon, hey, thank you, Steve Bannon. You showed me that everything that I thought about this country is a whole bunch of bullshit, and it's just a big paper tiger, and that nothing that I thought was solid and static is just, it's all just an illusion, as Doug Henning would say. So Jeffrey Clark, a central player in Trump's effort to overturn the election, has informed the January 6th committee that he intends to plead the fifth. I have a suggestion. And again, how long ago was this? Yeah, okay, so an hour and 15 minutes. Okay, so I'm just reading the headline. I didn't have time to actually read the whole story, so I don't know if this is even an option. Fifth Amendment is your right. I believe in the Bill of Rights. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in the first 10. I think that they're extremely important, and that's why they were numbered that way. And if you wanna enact your right as an American citizen, as a citizen of the United States of America, to not incriminate yourself, you should be able to do that. We've got it there for a reason, so have at it, brother. But you're doing it on live TV. You're doing it on live TV, and the entire country is gonna watch you take the Fifth Amendment. And the irony here, I'm just remembering this now. Don't you remember when Trump was running for president and he said only criminals take the Fifth Amendment? I mean, he said that. He said that. And now all of his people are taking the Fifth Amendment. Oh, my God. Oh, by the way, this reminds me of my little bar trick that I like to do with people. Should you ever find somebody going on and on about their love of either the First or the Second Amendment, because you get this a lot, especially on the left. On the left, you always get a lot of, my First Amendment rights, and they know everything about the First Amendment. They can tell you why, because they're well practiced in this one amendment. The First Amendment, it's the First Amendment for a reason, and blah, 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 blah. And then you get the same on the right with the Second Amendment. The right to bear arms, I can tell you everything and anything about the right to bear arms. Right and the left, they're funny people. The left with their first, the right with their left. Here's a bar trick for you. The next time you find yourself talking to somebody who's going on and on and on about either the First Amendment or the Second Amendment, look them dead in the eye and say, tell me what the Third Amendment is. What's the Third Amendment, you constitutional scholar? You seem to know everything about this one, and you seem to think that this one is immovable. Tell me about the Third Amendment. And then on the off chance that they know it, ask them about the Fourth. And then don't ask them about the Fifth, because people tend to know the first, freedom of speech, second, right to bear arms, fifth, you don't have to incriminate yourself. But do people know the third, the fourth, the sixth, the seventh, the eighth? Yes, Adam Rain has got it. The Third Amendment is you cannot be forced to quarter soldiers. The Fourth Amendment is unreasonable search and seizure. The Fifth Amendment is not incriminate yourself. Sixth Amendment is right to a speedy trial. Ask. It's a bar trick. You can ask them. Seventh, right to a speedy trial. Okay, speedy trial is sixth. Jury trial is seventh. Right to a jury trial. Eighth is when you're in prison, no cruel and unusual punishment. Ninth is ninth is a hard one. The 10th is states' rights. What is ninth? Ninth is one that doesn't really... Ninth always, to me, felt... I'm not even going to look at the chat room, because this is my bar trick. The 10th is states' rights. Ninth, this is why I think that it's bullshit. The Ninth Amendment to the Constitution is basically, anything we forgot in here, there's still rights out there. We just didn't have room to... Basically, that's what the Ninth Amendment is. It's like we the people are not limited to the rights within this document, something like that. But the next time someone starts going on and on with you about the First Amendment or the Second Amendment or the Fifth Amendment, just ask them what the third is. Really, you seem really dug in on the Second Amendment. What's the Third Amendment, dude? Come on, Mr. Constitutional. And you'll just see what frauds people are. Nobody, I've been quizzing my 12-year-old son on the Bill of Rights for about 2 years now. And my kid can rattle off the 10 amendments, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, which is, of course, the Bill of Rights. He can rattle them off like that. Better than I just did. You gotta know what this country is about, and you can't just be hyper-focused on the bullshit that only appeals to your interests. So that's why the Fifth Amendment is trending. What else is trending? Oh, but don't you want them? Don't you want to see them all just take the Fifth Amendment like gangsters, just like mob dudes? I want make them wear sunglasses, make them take the Fifth, make them refuse to answer on live TV. Oh, but they won't do that because for some fucking reason, well, we can't do that. We can't needlessly embarrass these people. It will be behind closed quarters. It'll just be... No! Let's see these people for history who refuse to answer what we all saw happen, who refuse to answer and tell what they know to the legally elected representatives of the United States Congress. And don't get me wrong, most of the people in Congress suck. Remember, the rule is that, and we're not a political show, and I hope that I'm being all over on both sides of this, but everybody in Congress sucks except for the person you voted for. That's the problem with Congress. Everybody else's guy totally sucks, but not my guy. My guy, I saw him at the county fair. I shook his hand. Oh, man, what a nice guy. He's got my vote for life. But everybody else's congressman sucks. Everybody does that, and that's how everybody gets reelected. Because everybody's guy is great. It's everybody else's guy who sucks. Crazy people. All right. We talked about this already. Real America is trending. Should have put this. Hashtag Real America is trending today. One of the congressmen, wrestler boy from Ohio, he said that real Americans are done with COVID. Okay, man. But is COVID done with you? That's the question. It ain't about whether or not look, I'm done with cancer. I am done. You know what I'm done with? I'm done with paying bills. Let's see how that works out. That's not how it works out. So yeah, Jim Jordan sent out a tweet that went viral today where he just said, real America is done with COVID. Okay. All right, whatever. Like I said, I'm done with cancer. Ha ha, cancer. You can't touch me because I'm done with you. We talked about this. It's National Mutt Day. Get yourself a mutt. Go down to a shelter. Get yourself one of those fuddly, jacked up looking dogs. Trust me, they'll be the best dog of your life. Mutts are the best dogs. They're the most trainable. They're the most loving. They know they're ugly. They know that they're like, look, it's like if you're an attractive person who is tired of being in bad relationships, get in a relationship with an ugly person. You will find how wonderful partnerships can be. Now, you may not be attracted to them, but hey, what do you want? You want to feel good in your soul, or do you want to have a nice piece of arm candy? That's your decision. Attractive people are terrible. Attractive dogs are terrible. Mutts are the only way to go. Here's another thing that's interesting that's trending today. Hashtag, you're definitely not having sex if. Hashtag, you're definitely not having sex if. And then, people are writing funny things, except people aren't writing funny things. I looked at this, and I don't even know why I'm stopping on it, because it does, if there were like some really witty, funny lines, you're not having sex if, and then there was something funny there, that would mean, it's a cool thing that went viral because people were being creative and interesting. But that's not why it went viral. It went viral because it was hijacked by the abortion conversation. Every other response, you're not having sex if you support the restrictive women's... Oh, God, you people can't have any fun. That's not how this thread was designed. It wasn't meant for this. It was meant for silliness. And now you're just making it all bummer. And by the way, you're not having... The hashtag, you're not having sex if thread. There's a whole lot of, women. I love women. I'm not anti-women. I was raised by a single mom. I was raised by, badass lady who could do anything. I'm not one of these people who think that no female's going to operate on my brain. I'm not one of those guys. I never have been. In fact, every single crisis I have ever experienced in life has been almost entirely solved by my mother, a woman who can seemingly do absolutely anything all the time. So I'm not one of these, women haters. But man, I hate these women on this thread. There's a whole bunch of women going, oh, these men who support these abortion, whatever, they're not going to have sex. Come on, ladies, let's withhold sex from all the men. Do you guys know what is recognized as the very first comedy ever written? The very first comedy recognized by scholars of such things. The very first comedy ever written was written by Aristophanes in ancient Greece, and it was called Lysistrata. And it was a comedy because the premise of it was all of the women of Athens banded together and withheld sex from the men in protest of the seemingly never-ending Peloponnesian War. That's the first comedy that was ever written. Why? Because women don't band together. It's a great premise, but women do not band together. I remember for years people saying, if a woman would just run for president, all the ladies would come together and there would be no stopping them. Girl power. How'd that work out? How'd that work out? You ran a woman. Not a particularly good one either, but you ran a woman, and hardly any women in America voted for her. Hardly any women banded together. And also, there are not a whole lot of women who are married with families, who go to church, and who are over 30, who will openly or publicly support pro-choice. I am shocked. I mean, again, as a man, I've said this before, I have no opinion on it. I shouldn't have a voice in this conversation. I am a dude. I cannot get pregnant. This does not affect me, my body, or who I am. This should be a woman's issue. I proposed yesterday that all the dudes, the Gorsuches and the Alitos, the Kavanaughs, the Thomases, the Breyers, all the dudes take a step back. Who did I miss? It doesn't matter. Take a step back from this and let the ladies of the Supreme Court hash it out. Let Kagan and Sotomayor and Coney Barrett figure this one out, because this ain't a guy's issue, man. I'm sorry. Guys should not be the ones who have any sort of legal power in determining this. You're just saying it's a woman's right. It's a what? Yeah, I am kind of. I mean, I don't want to get political about it, but I don't want to get anything about it because, again, like I said, I'm a dude. If I was 17 years old and I was a boy and a boy could get pregnant and I got knocked up at 17 years old and I was looking at, not being able to go to college and not being able to do this or that, join the military, whatever it was that I wanted to do, I'd hoped that there would have been an abortion. I would have hoped that there would have been some option for me. And I believe, and I know it's a cliche for sure, that, people have been saying for years, if men could get pregnant, there'd be an abortion clinic on every corner. I actually totally agree with that. I think that is true. So as a guy, I don't want to get involved in this whole thing. You women, look, Coney Barrett, Kagan and Sotomayor, the female Supreme Court justices, lock them in a room and let them mud wrestle. See what I did? I degraded women. Right at the very end there, I degraded women. If they were to mud wrestle, if Coney Barrett, Kagan, and Sotomayor were to mud wrestle, who do I think would win? Okay, let's stop down on this. Why not? This is what stream of consciousness is all about. Coney Barrett is younger, and she looks kind of fit, but also Coney Barrett also looks kind of like a girly girl. Like, ew, the mud. Ew, the mud. Sotomayor, man, she's a Latino lady. You don't want to fight a Latino lady. I'm going with Sotomayor. I think Kagan get her ass whipped. I think that the Coney Barrett would just run away from the mud wrestling fight, and I think it would just be Justice Sotomayor standing in the mud pit going, "Come on, bitches!" That's what we do here. We go off on tangents. I bet you didn't think you'd hear a conversation about who would win in a mud wrestling match between the three females of the Supreme Court. You did. That's what you get with us here. What else is trending today? Let's see here. Rob Manfred is trending today because baseball locked everybody out. The owners and the commissioners of Major League Baseball last night at 11:59, they said, okay, baseball's done. No more baseball. No more baseball for you. which sucks because I'm a baseball fan. It's the first time there's been a Major League Baseball lockout since 1995. What is it about? I don't know, man. I don't know. There's so much. It's the collective bargaining agreement, which is the agreement between the Players Association, the Players Union, and the owners and the commissioner's office. And it covers everything from service time to free agency to, whether or not there needs to be a salary cap, whether or not the designated hitter rule, all these things that Major League Baseball ownership and the Major League Baseball Players Union need to agree on is all encompassed in something called the collective bargaining agreement. And that lapsed. The current collective bargaining agreement lapsed last night, and they've made no progress on making a new one. And so now there's no baseball, which means all the offseason trades, they all stop. All the free agency stops. There's a Major League Baseball. Now, I haven't checked this out. Maybe some of you can check this out. Major League Baseball seems to have whitewashed all of the players off their I want to see what you know what? I'm going to look at that. I want to see what MajorLeagueBaseball.com is doing. Let me see. MLB.com. All right, let's see here. Go to MajorLeagueBaseball.com, and the first thing we see is Rob Manfred, who is trending. He's the commissioner of baseball. Rob Manfred's letter to fans. Let's see here. Teams. News, scores, stats, standings, schedule, play ball, fans, tickets, teams. All right. Let me see here. All right, let's just look. Let's just click on the first one. Houston Astros, the baseball team. Yep, nothing. Just, again, the letter to baseball fans from Rob Manfred. They took down all of the pictures and all of the stuff. Oh, you bitches. You better settle this by the time opening day starts, because I am telling you. I am telling you. Funniest tweet for baseball fans out there. If you are a fan of Major League Baseball and you watch, you'll appreciate this joke tweet. Somebody sent, here, I'll read the tweet to you, because it's like the winning tweet of last night, especially on baseball Twitter. You got to know who Joe West is. That's the main thing. Joe West is an umpire. And he is, whenever he's calling balls and strikes, whenever he's behind the plate, he is garbage. He totally sucks. Every team Angel Hernandez is another one, but nobody is as awful as Joe West at calling balls and strikes. Just terrible, terrible, terrible guy. Every team in baseball hates him. At least he's uniform. At least he's not like, pulling for one team over another. No, he screws up for every team. So everybody hates when Joe West is calling balls and strikes. So here's the tweet. Here is the tweet of baseball Twitter. Ownership is calling it a lockout, but Joe West is still calling it a strike. That's a good joke. Ball can be 15 feet outside, and Joe West will give you the, hey! Yeah. As a former Little League catcher, baseball catcher, I can tell you that those bad missed balls and strikes drive me nuts. What else is trending today? Here's an interesting one. Hashtag Remain in Mexico is trending. What is hashtag Remain in Mexico all about? Well, I'll tell you. The Biden administration today has decided to restart a Trump program which requires immigrants attempting to cross the border to be held on the Mexican side as opposed to the American side. This is the Biden administration looking at a Trump policy and going, that's okay. That was not bad. That one actually makes sense. It makes sense for what we're trying to do, which I think is very interesting because, look, no matter what you feel about Biden or no matter what you feel about Trump, remember, you gotta stay open-minded about these things. Nobody's going to get everything that they want in one guy. The fact of the matter is that not everything Donald Trump did was terrible. It's not. And you'll have people out there going, oh, he was a disaster from the very beginning. No, he wasn't. There were actually some things that still remain in practice that this current administration wouldn't tell you that they're still doing certain things that were created by the Trump administration because, well, that would be politically damaging to their brand, and that would mean no. But look, the fact of the matter is that maybe the Remain in Mexico concept, which I'm sure was demonized by everybody who was anti-Trump, maybe that is actually the best thing for this country. And, Joe Biden is quietly trying to reinstate it, except for in the era of social media and all this stuff. You can't quietly do anything like that. So that is why Remain in Mexico is trending. The Biden administration is restarting the Trump program, requiring immigrants who are crossing over, who are of undetermined legality. They are no longer going to be held on the American side, but yeah, stay over there until we can figure out what to do with you. Now, the Mexican government, they don't like that. They don't like that either, but you're in Mexico now. You're in Mexico now. What, we're supposed to let you in? Come on in, doors open, come on in. Oh, wait, we don't know if we can let you in. So let's spend all of our money building. No, if they're still in Mexico, man, I think I agree with that. I think, and look, I'm not a build-a-wall guy. I believe that this is the melting pot. I believe in legal immigration. I also believe in amnesty for people who have lived here for, their entire lives. I am very open-minded when it comes to this issue. However, yeah, I do think that if you're trying to get in and we're not sure if they should be allowed to get in, we should determine whether or not they should be in here or not before they get in here. That just, to me, makes perfect sense. Okay, big news. Cowboys are playing tonight. We got a cowboy game tonight. Kamara, Saints running back Kamara is out. And I think Mike McCarthy is out. Cowboys coach is out with the COVID. He's out too. But there you go. Kamara is trending, and that's why he's out for a whole bunch of Nolans Saints are out tonight. Here's a sad one. Right. This one is a bit upsetting. And then I got a hot take for you on it. You guys, if you're an 80s kid like myself, yeah, I'm old, I know. I'm an 80s kid. We lost one of the icons. We lost one of the icons of my youngest days. One of the barometers of cool has passed on to whatever comes next. Of course, I speak of Carmine, the Big Ragu Ragusa. You know I go from rags to riches. Laverne and Shirley's Carmine Big Ragu. He died. Eddie Mecca is his name. Eddie Mecca is an actor, 69 years old. He played Carmine the Big Ragu on the Laverne and Shirley show. He was Shirley Feeney's boyfriend. He was the linchpin for Laverne and Shirley being a spinoff of Happy Days. Well, how is he the linchpin? How does Carmine Big Ragu Ragusa mix in with the Happy Days crowd? Because Carmine Big Ragu Ragusa was friends with Fonzie. Carmine was one of Fonzie's tough guy friends. And in an episode of Happy Days where Richie and Patsy and who was it, Ralph Malph, in an episode of Happy Days where they were getting bullied and picked on by people, a gang. I think it was like was Squiggy and Lenny in the gang? I don't know. Maybe. I'd have to check that. Anyway, neither here nor there. So Richie and the boys, they were getting picked on by a gang, and Fonzie came to their rescue, and Fonzie brought a little backup with them, and that was the introduction of Carmine Big Ragu Ragusa. And in later episodes, that's how Fonzie knew Laverne and Shirley, because Shirley had an on-again, off-again relationship with Carmine Big Ragu, who had already been established as Fonzie's tough guy friend. So that when Fonzie wanted to go on a double date with Richie to get him over, I don't know, was it Lori Beth or whatever, somebody, I don't know, he was going through something. Fonzie set Richie up on a double date, and guess who the girls were that were on the double date? Laverne and Shirley. So there you go. That's the whole Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley sort of. Don't get me started on how Mork and Mindy, which was set in present-day 1980s Boulder, Colorado, fits into the whole thing, but it does. And it was the 70s and the 80s, and nothing made sense, so that's all right. So Carmine the Big Ragu, Eddie Mecca is dead. That was his entrance. Whenever he would, you know how Kramer on Seinfeld has his entrance where the door opens really quick? Yeah. Carmine's big entrance was you'd hear him outside the door. Outside the door, you'd hear, "You know I go from rags to riches," and then he'd pop through the door. And it was funny. It was a weird combinational character with Carmine Big Ragusa because he was established as like the toughest guy in the neighborhood. Like Carmine Big Ragu would beat the snot out of you, but he was also the neighborhood's best song and dance man. He was, he knew the jazz stops. So it's like this weird, wait a second, is he a really tough, scary street thug? Or is he performing down the street at the community theater? Which is it? Which is Eddie Mecca? Which character profile is he following here in this characterization? But it doesn't matter because for my money, Carmine, of all the Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, Mork and Mindy people, if you were to say to me, Pugs, who epitomized cool in that entire universe, that shared universe? Who was the coolest? Most people would think that you'd have to say, Fonzie. Some people might even say Chachi. Not me. Carmine Big Ragu. Carmine Ragusa was the coolest guy in that whole thing. And I'll tell you, here's what I think. I think that if Fonzie and Big Ragu ever got into a fight, I think Big Ragu would kick Fonzie's ass. Enough on that. A discussion for another time. Eddie Mecca, 69 years old. Carmine the Big Ragu. He died. He's cancer, I think. I want to say. I don't know. 69. It could be cancer. It could be... I probably should have known that. But you know what? Didn't I do enough? Didn't I just sing the praises of Eddie Mecca? I think I did enough. Alec Baldwin is trending. He's been trending forever. He's going to be on ABC tonight, sitting down with George Stephanopoulos. Excuse me. He's doing 7 o'clock tonight. Alec Baldwin, for the first time ever, he's going to give an interview. I'm going to try and watch it, but if I'm being honest with you, we got a Cowboy game tonight, so I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. I might have to catch it on Hulu later. And also, I don't know if we're going to do a pillow talk tonight because of this Cowboy game. We'll talk about it. I promise you, we'll talk about it. We'll figure out what that's all about. I don't know. I'm deciding. Folks, like I said, I got so much going on. I got bills. I got car issues. I'm trying to jog and get back in shape. I'm trying to write this book that I'm working on. I got so much going on. Basically, football, and especially football where it concerns my two favorite teams, the Chicago Bears and the Dallas Cowboys, they're like my only real joy. You know, they're like the only time when I can just kind of check out and just zero in. Baseball season's over. Baseball season used to be that for me. Now it's either Bear games or Cowboy games, and unfortunately, both of those tend to happen on the very same day. So, I don't know. We'll see. God, stop it. We'll see. Relax. What else do we have going on here? So Alec Baldwin, he's going to talk about that tonight with Stephanopoulos, 7 o'clock ABC News. Oh, I forgot to tell you. He claims he didn't pull a trigger. That's like the big Alec Baldwin in his first interview. And he don't look good, man. He don't look good. He has got some Samsonite luggage underneath his eyelids. Boy, I am telling you, he looks like he hasn't slept a wink since this went on. He does not. Alec Baldwin is a good-looking man. Alec Baldwin is one of those legendary Hollywood leading man, handsome dudes. Even at like 60, however old he is, he was still, he was still a good-looking guy. Women liked. He looks unrecognizable. He looks like the way Alec Baldwin would look if Alec Baldwin had never become Alec Baldwin, but instead worked in an auto parts store for the last 60 years. That's what he looks like now. He doesn't look like a Hollywood star, Alec Baldwin. He looks like a regular guy in Dayton, Ohio, working at an auto parts store version of Alec Baldwin. So just for that, you might want to check it out. But he claims he didn't pull a trigger, which, again, as I said last night, I don't understand this. What do you mean you didn't pull the trigger? It's been like a month, dude. It's been over a month. Why is this the first we're hearing that you didn't pull the trigger? You have given brief little statements to the assembled media that have been hounding you for the last month. You have said things. Why haven't you until now said you didn't pull the trigger? That seems concocted, as we were theorizing last night. It seems like something he's going to get out there tonight, just as a deniability, because he's on the hook for a lot of this. Whatever the civil damages are, whatever the hell happens, he, as one of the executive producers and people behind the overall production of this film, Rust, a film that has been totally trashed. I mean, not the film, the production in the days, the weeks, and now months following the incident that killed that poor young woman and shot the director. Since that incident, we have learned so much about how slipshod this production was, about how bills weren't being paid, people weren't being paid, things that were promised were not being followed through on. There were money problems, there were issues. And if all of those things are going on, you've got to ask yourself, were they paid up with their insurance? Because if they weren't paid up with their insurance, if their insurance policy wasn't all tight and ready to go in the off chance that something like this happened, and the insurance companies are not going to be liable for paying out any civil damages, Alec Baldwin will lose everything. Gonna lose everything. So maybe that's why it seems so weird that he's saying, I didn't pull the trigger. I would never pull it. We'll see. Well, I don't know how a gun fires without pulling the trigger. I don't. But I just do think that it's odd that we're only hearing about this now. Now is the time we're hearing about it. This never leaked out. They've talked to everybody on the set 1,000 times. It has never even been suggested that the gun just went off on its own. It has always been a known commodity that Alec Baldwin was holding the gun. They were framing a shot. I mean, they've been up and down, over and under this whole issue for months now, weeks now, certainly. And now's the first time, I didn't pull the trigger. I would never pull the trigger. So we'll see. We will see. By the way, don't misconstrue from that little rant that I think Alec Baldwin is a murderer, like the crazy 15% on the right and the crazy 15% on the left who somehow think he's a murderer. I thought that's not, first of all, at the very worst, it would be manslaughter, unless you believe that he wanted this person dead and he just decided to do this because what? Because what's the motivation here? It's obviously a tragic accident. Now, somebody responsible for it? Yeah, let's find out, because somebody is dead, and we need to find out who is responsible for it. But a murderer? He's not a murderer. He didn't walk. You know who's a murderer? The kid in Oxford. The kid at Oxford High School. That kid's a murderer. You know who's a murderer? That dude in Waukesha who ran over all those people. That dude's a murderer. Alec Baldwin ain't a murderer. He might be involved in a little manslaughter or something like that, but that ain't murder. Well, what do you mean you didn't pull the trigger? All right, also trending today, this is what we do here on the show. We go through all of the things that are trending, all of the things that people are talking about. Enron is trending today. Enron, boy, oh boy, I'll tell you, I woke up this morning and I saw Keith Olbermann trending, Enron trending, and Laverne and Shirley trending, and Get Smart trending. And I swear to God, I thought I invented a time machine in my sleep. What year did I wake up in if all of these things are what everybody is talking about on this, the second day of December 2021? Enron is trending because 20 years ago today, Enron filed what was at the time the largest bankruptcy in U.S. history after it became apparent that its gangbuster growth was based on accounting gimmicks and a web of lies. Smartest guys in the room, right? Isn't that the doc about Enron? I think it is. I think that's what it is. Whatever the doc was about Enron, amazing. Absolutely. Just smelled something weird. Right. I'm smelling something weird. Somebody grilling? What do we got? We got E the artist down there at the 1%er compound grilling. Seems all right. That's the coffee pot. I should probably turn off the coffee pot. This is me thinking about what's the worst that can happen if I don't turn the coffee pot off in the next 25, 30 minutes. All right, breaking the show. Coffee pot needs to be turned off. I'm smelling something. It's really hot, so let me turn that off. I was going to drink more coffee, but then I figured I don't need it. Hold tight. We'll be right back. Promise me. I'll be right back. Turning the coffee pot off. It's just over here. Coffee pot is off. Interruption is over. There we go. All right. I'm still smelling something weird, though. Great. There's a smoldering brush fire underneath us here. No, I think that's actually better now. So Enron, 20 years ago, Smartest Guys in the Room is the documentary that was made about it. If you don't understand the Enron story, but you know that word as a flashpoint, oh yeah, didn't they do something bad? Woo! Watch this documentary. Smartest Guys in the Room. Yeah, they did something bad. These assholes. They were really bad. And you know what's crazy about Enron? And for any of my friends there who are in Chicago, specifically Chicago, the most mind-blowing thing about Enron is that the biggest gangster over there, the worst guy, the biggest son of a bitch, one of the most corrupt and devious and rotten American examples of wealth and business run amok is Tom Skilling's brother. Tom Skilling's brother. Folks, if you in Dallas don't understand what I'm getting at here, of course, I'm talking about Jeffrey Skilling, who led all of the bullshit that went down with Enron. Jeffrey Skilling is the brother to a total Chicago shicon. One of the most beloved men in Chicago media for the last 50 years, Tom Skilling. He's the weatherman at WGN. He's not the weatherman at WGN, which he is. He's the weatherman in Chicago. He is all of our blizzards, all of our this, all of our that throughout all of the years. It's the tornado warnings, everything. Who do you want to hear from first? You want to hear from Tom Skilling. He's lovable. He's a wonderful sort of a personality. He's friendly. He's harmless. You just want to give him a hug. You know, he just seems... Tom Skilling is one of the most incredibly beloved people in the history of the city of Chicago. When Tom Skilling dies, and hopefully that's not going to be for another 20 years, 30 years or so, hopefully he lives to a ripe old age. When Tom Skilling dies, the city of Chicago will shut down for a day or two. They will just shut down and they will be like, Tom Skilling, I love Tom Skilling. Oh my God. Generation after generation has relied on this wonderfully sweet, kind, upbeat, friendly little fat man who has been giving us the most awful weather news for the past 50 years in Chicago, and his brother is the exact opposite in Houston and in the world of business. Jeffrey Skilling is a monster, and Tom Skilling is like a cherubic angel that everybody loves. So that's always my takeaway from... That's always what I take away from the whole Enron thing, was that how did a mother give birth to both Jeffrey Skilling and Tom Skilling? Keith Olbermann is trending. Let me turn this down. Let me see what's happening here. I'm sounding a little bit different in my headphones, and I don't know if I'm overmodulating or if it has anything to do with this weird smell that I'm getting. All right. I think I'm just being a little bit overdramatic. We'll figure it out. Keith Olbermann is trending. As I said, he's trending because... he did a jerky thing. What a surprise. Keith Olbermann's a jerk. Keith Olbermann, 20 years ago, or 15 years ago, or whatever we want to say, I used to love this guy. He used to do this countdown show where he gave the news and it counted down, and it was really interesting, and what a cool way to kind of give people the news. And then he just turned into an idiot. So what's he in trouble for? He is... So Barstool put out a tweet yesterday with one of the boys, the football player who he profiled, one of the boys who was killed during the shooting at the school in Oxford. And Barstool said that I'll read it to you. A high school football player rushed a school shooter and sacrificed his own life to save his classmates. and it showed his picture. So remember, this is Barstool saying this. A high school football player rushed a school shooter and sacrificed his own life to save his classmates. One, what a great story. What a terrific thing. What an unbelievable way to have this heroic death. And I mean, a meaningless, needless death, unnecessary, tragic, sad death. We played a video of this kid giving an interview after a football game just a couple of weeks ago. Just a sad death. But here's the problem. That's probably not true. In fact, and I know I was very critical of the sheriff when he gave his press conference yesterday. I thought he was being evasive on some things. One of the questions that the sheriff was asked about was, he was asked directly, did anybody try to take down the shooter? Was there anyone that died trying to stop him from killing other people? A reporter asked the sheriff that point blank. And the sheriff said, with all of the video that we have witnessed, no, nobody did. And then the sheriff went on to say, in those moments, you have to understand that most people, they just click into a survival thing and they run away. So the sheriff said that nobody did that. But now this football player kid, and I'm not complaining about it. I don't care. But it's the way these stories, these hero stories get fabricated for, I don't know what the purpose is. So anyway, Barstool tweeted, a high school football player rushed a school shooter and sacrificed his own life to save his classmates. That would be a wonderful thing to have be true. I don't know that it's true. I heard the sheriff in the official press conference say the direct opposite when asked if anybody tried to stop the shooter. So whatever. So Barstool puts that out and you just let it go. You're like, okay, I don't know if that's true, but it's not a terrible thing. If people want to believe that, this kid, God love this kid. I don't care if he did or he didn't do that. It'd be nice to think of him as doing that. Maybe that'll be good for the movie that'll come out. I don't know. But Keith Olbermann decided to take that tweet from Barstool and say, this kid died to stop a school shooter whose mother echoed the Trumpist fascism of Stool Presidente and everyone else at Barstool Sports. Oh, fuck you, Keith Olbermann. Not the place. Not the time. Stop it, dude. You know how mad I get about people dragging politics into shit where politics doesn't belong? Why are we all so geared to go political with everything? And now you got Keith Olbermann, who's just upset because Keith Olbermann used to be a pretty important voice in the world of sports, and now he just doesn't understand that this entity of Barstool is now doing... Barstool is more important to the modern 20-year-old kid than Keith Olbermann and Dan Patrick on SportsCenter was in 1992. That's a fact. That's a fact. You had to wait to watch SportsCenter with Keith, The Big Show, if you remember that. It was a wonderful show, and it was a highly influential sports broadcast every night. But it only came on once. It only came on for an hour. Barstool is a constant entity that is constantly engaging with its audience. And I think Keith looks at Barstool, and why do you got to make it political? Okay, you don't get Barstool. Okay, you're getting older, Keith. But please, not the time or the place. You're dragging politics into this school's deck. Come on, stop it. God, I want it. Did I mention how much I hate Keith Olbermann? If you follow him on Twitter, and I do, and I don't know why I follow him, probably to be triggered. I follow a lot of people just to get, keep an eye on him and trigger him. This guy, ugh. And I used to be a fan. I used to love his countdown show. I used to love the way that he would do the 10 top stories. Look, well, I do a countdown. Essentially, I do a trending topic show where it's just... I don't know what happened to this dude. I don't know what happened to him. All right. Let's see. What else is trending today? Oh, this is crazy. John Brown is trending. John Brown is trending today. Do you know who John Brown is? I didn't know who John Brown was until I got into college. Yesterday we did a little thing about Rosa Parks. And I admitted I was never taught about Rosa Parks in school. That was an American who did something who I didn't learn about until, much later in life when I had to go out and start seeking information on my own. But there was no chapter in American history class at any point during growing up where we learned about Rosa Parks. Same with John Brown. John Brown Yeah. Adam Reyna says Arizona Cardinals and Buffalo Bills wide receiver. No, John Brown was an abolitionist. You've maybe Bleeding Kansas is an event in American history that we also don't know about. We don't know about Bleeding Kansas. Bleeding Kansas was an in-state civil war that preceded the actual civil war. When Kansas was becoming a state, they were electing senators. And the senators who would then go and represent the new state of Kansas would vote to either have slavery or not have slavery. So the senatorial elections in Kansas during the formation of the state became very, very contested, especially between people who wanted to settle Kansas as a slave state and the abolitionists who did not want Kansas to have slaves. See, people were moving to the new territory of Kansas, so it had to be determined whether or not people who moved from the South, the southern slave states, whether or not they could bring their slaves with them to farm and ranch and do whatever they were going to do on the new lands of Kansas. So it became a huge problem. And John Brown was a Christian preacher who believed that he was a representative of God, and he was an abolitionist. And he believed abolitionists did not want slavery. And he believed that he was sent here to Kansas by God to use violence to make sure that slavery ended. And we never learned about John Brown. John Brown was hanged for treason by the Commonwealth of Virginia because he fought to free the enslaved people of the South, specifically his events at the Potawatomi War and Bleeding Kansas. Brown's last words upon being hung on this day in 1859, I, John Brown, am now quite certain that the crimes of this guilty land can never be purged away but with blood. So even in his dying moments, they got him in the gallows. They're about to string him up. Oh, what are they stringing him up for? Because he led a band of people that raided an armory in West Virginia. He took over an armory where they hold guns. He took over an armory in West Virginia, and his plan was to steal all the guns and arm all the slaves in West Virginia and basically then push for an uprising of slaves. They caught him, they killed him, and his last words were, I, John Brown, am now quite certain that the crimes of this guilty land can never be purged away but with blood. There's a very good miniseries on Showtime if you have access to Showtime. It's called The Good Lord Bird, and Ethan Hawke plays John Brown. I watched it a couple of years ago because I've always been interested in this guy. Also, fun fact, John Brown is the first person executed for treason in the United States. That's what he was convicted of, treason for trying to free the slaves, and he was executed along with, I want to say, his sons and some other people. But John Brown, you never learned about him. You never learned about Reverend John Brown, the preacher man. You never learned about him in school. Boy, you never learned about Rosa Parks. We talked about her yesterday. So there you go. It's interesting. When people are trying to strip books out of schools nowadays, it's books about people like this. It's books about John Brown. There are people that don't want children to know that there was this man who stood up and gave his life trying to free white man who stood up and gave his life trying to free black slaves, and to the very end was adamant about, look, we're not going to be able to do this peacefully. Peaceful abolition process is absolute garbage. It hasn't been working for 20 years. We need to go to war. We need to arm up, and we need to fight if people want to be free. That was his belief. That was his belief. And we're never going to learn about him. Because, especially in South Lake, the school district, any book on John Brown going to be stripped from that book. He's a non-person. But it's not just South Lake, because like I said, I went to public schools, and I never learned. There was no chapter about John Brown, the abolitionist. All right, so there you go. Pretty cool last words, though. Pretty impactful. I, John Brown, am now quite certain that the crimes of this guilty land can never be purged away but with blood. Woo! Hardcore till the end. It should also be noted, John Brown was fucking crazy. He was crazy. He was well-intentioned. I happen to believe I'm with him. I would like to think that I would be an abolitionist if I was back then. So I'm with him on that. But, people are complicated. There's a lot of nuance that goes into people. And John Brown, in addition to being an abolitionist he was also a lunatic, a whack job, a crazy person. So there you go. One of the last things that we've got here, Juice WRLD. We talked about this at the start of the show. It was on, it's Juice WRLD's birthday. Juice WRLD is not a place where you get smoothies or kale shots or whatever. Juice WRLD is a hip hop guy, and we talked about this because he's trending because it's his birthday today. He died in 2019, but it's his birthday, and his mom wrote a letter, and the letter has now gone viral, and it's all over the place, and blah blah blah. It's a beautiful letter from a mother who lost her very young son far too early. And we were discussing Juice WRLD yesterday because my kid loves Juice WRLD, and he was somebody who was a fairly well-known hip-hop artist on the south side of Chicago among people who, knew south side hip-hop, which I did, and I explained not because I'm a cool old white man. I knew it because I used some studios that my friend ran, and the primary way my friend made income at these music studios was by catering to the south side hip-hop people. Blue Heron Studios, my guy Gary, he was a hip-hop producer. He's an old white man, hip-hop, Southside hardcore hip-hop dudes loved Gary because Gary was good. He could play every instrument. He knew how to make their tracks sound bigger and wider and all that stuff. Very cool guy. Gary's no longer with us either, and I miss him every day. He was one of my best friends. But so Juice WRLD was somebody who would come there from time to time. So I knew who Juice WRLD was, but I really didn't know that I knew Lucid Dreams, which is probably what he's best known for, but I didn't really get that he was as big as he was within the hip hop community, to the point where my 12-year-old son loves him and has no idea that his Uncle Gary, used to call him Uncle Gary. My kid had no idea that Uncle Gary was one of Juice WRLD's producers for a period of time before he became, big and signed with a record company. But yeah, so his mom wrote a letter on his birthday today. What would he be? Probably be like 23, 22. He was so young when he died. He was just a kid. But how did he die? And I wanted to read this to you. I wanted you guys to see this. How did he die? You think, hip-hop guy dies young from the south side of Chicago. Oh, obviously he was involved in some hijinks and caught a bullet and blah, blah, blah. No, that ain't how he died. I mean, he was involved in some hijinks, that is for sure. But it's not that. It's such a weird and sad case. So here's how Juice WRLD died. On December 8th, 2019, Jamal Higgins, I think was his real name. It doesn't say a name here, but let's call him Higgins because I know that was his last name. There it is. On December 8th, 2019, Higgins was aboard a private Gulfstream jet flying from Van Nuys Airport in Los Angeles to Midway International Airport in Chicago. He was flying home. I think he was coming home for Christmas, for the whole Christmas holiday. Law enforcement officers were waiting for the jet to arrive, having been notified by federal agents while the flight was en route that they suspected there were guns and drugs on the plane. Law enforcement officials later revealed that they found 70 pounds of marijuana on the aircraft and said several members of Higgins' management team aboard the flight told them that Higgins had taken several unknown pills, including allegedly swallowing multiple Percocet pills to hide them while police were on board searching the plane and the luggage. Higgins then began convulsing and seizing in the presence of the officers, after which 2 doses of the emergency medication Narcan were administered, as an opioid overdose was suspected. Higgins was transported to the nearby Advocate Christ Medical Center in Oak Lawn, right there on 95th Street. Higgins was transferred to Christ Medical Center in Oak Lawn, where he was pronounced dead. On January 22nd, 2020, the Cook County Medical Examiner stated that Higgins died as a result of toxic levels of oxycodone and codeine. Higgins' funeral was held on December 13th, 2019 at the Holy Temple Cathedral of God in Harvey, Illinois. Friends and family were in attendance, including collaborators Ski Mask, the Slump God, and Young Thug. Okay, this dude basically just fisted a whole bunch of pills on his private jet because federal agents were shown. He had 70 pounds of weed. He had 70 pounds of weed on the plane. Why did he think that he needed to get rid of these pills? He was already in trouble. I mean, did he think they weren't going to find the weed, but they would find these pills he had in his pocket? And he took them all at once. When these guys get shot, they catch a bullet on a street corner or a drive-by or something like that, you think how unnecessary and how needless. But you also, on one way, you think, well, that is sort of the violent life that they've chosen, that they've existed in, so it's going to catch up with you. This was something different. This is something weird, man. So there you go. That's why Juice WRLD is trending. Oh, my goodness. Would you look at this? It looks like we're out. Looks like we're almost out of time. I really need to know what that smell is. There is a weird... It wasn't the coffee pot. Maybe it's somebody burning leaves. Maybe somebody's burning leaves in one of the back. That's... You know what? I think that's what it probably is. I think it's leaves are burning. Or there is a fire in the walls here of the guest house, which there's not. There's absolutely no sign of that. But, okay. So I promised you guys that I would try and sing Jeff Glynn's parody song, Omicron. All right. Should I try it? I gotta warm my voice. I gotta warm up my voice a little bit. When I think back on all, feeling okay. All right. Are you ready, Jeff? This is written by Jeff Glynn. I didn't challenge anybody. I just said we should write a parody song to the Omicron virus, and we should do it to the tune of Paul Simon's Kodachrome, or we could also do it to what do we call it? Hold on. Abacab by hold on. I got to find the lyrics now. Here they are. There's some. There we go. Omicron. All right. Here we go. I'll pull up the lyrics. I promise you nothing on this. I was saying, I was going to do it, and then I got busy. I had all these things going on here. I got distracted. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. It was hard. So I quit. I wrote the first line, which is, when I think back on all the crap or all the masks I learned or I wore in lockdown. Sorry, I was reading the actual lyrics here. And I quit. But then here we go. Here comes Jeff Glynn. Jeff Glynn stepping up. Is there a way to make this smaller? Because I don't know how I'm going. Okay. Let's get the music going. Let's get a good level. All right, this is... Could I get in trouble? Am I going to probably get in trouble for just the karaoke version of this? All right, here you go. A parody of Paul Simon's Kodachrome as written by our good friend and chat room staple, Jeff Glynn. Sung to the tune of Kodachrome. Did I say that? Yeah, Kodachrome. All right, here we go. All right. Here we go. I'm going to try it. One take, Johnny. Here we go. When I think back on all the crap I learned in lockdown, it's a wonder I feel bad at all. And though my lack of vaccination hasn't hurt me none, I'm on a gurney in the ER hall. I'm a crying, I'm losing my nice bright color. I'm turning blue, it's such a bummer. Makes you think today just might be my last day. Oh yeah, I'm on a ventilator and they had to intubate. Oh doctor, please take my Omicron away. How about Jeff? If you took all the hoes hosts I watched each night on Fox News and brought them all together for one night. You know that I only want to warp my imagination. And now I know too late that Fauci's right. I'm a I'm losing my nice bright color. I'm pale and blue, I'm a goner. It makes you think today is surely my last day. Oh no, they turned off my ventilator. They say they can't resuscitate. The doctors can't take my Omicron away. Woo, yeah! Jeff Glenn! Doctor, don't take my Omicron away. Doctor, please take my Omicron away. Doctor, please take my Omicron away. Doctor, please take my Omicron. Doctor, please take my Omicron. Fauci, take my Omicron away. Doctor, please take my Omicron. This poor boy ain't going home. Doctor, please take my Omicron away. Doctor, please take my Omicron. Doctor, please take my Omicron. Doctor, please take my Omicron away. Woo! Go for it! That's pretty good. How about that, Jeff Glenn? That was Jeff Glenn. By the way, I'll do this. If people want to write parody songs, I'll try and do these live on the air. Oh my God, we lost half the room. Great. We lost half the room. Fine. You people don't like my singing. I don't need you. I don't need this kind of garbage. Here I am. I'm just a vessel for another man's talent. That was a wonderfully lit. Seriously, Jeff, that was good. That was really good. That was top tier, major market, big time 1990s morning radio quality parody song. That was as good as they can get. That's for Jeff Glenn. Oh, there is still a weird smell in here. I don't know what the hell that smell is. All right, we are running a little bit late, but that's what we do here from time to time. We sometimes do get off a little bit late. Let me see. Is there anything new that has been trending in the last couple of... Let's see. See if there's anything new. Anything big that I missed. Well, you know what? All right. Alex Jones is trending. Not going to touch that. Travis Kelce is trending. Not going to touch that. Looks like the Denver Broncos might be getting sold. Taysom Hill for tonight's Cowboys game can confirm per source that Taysom Hill will indeed start for the Saints at quarterback on Thursday night. I can smile a little now. Things are going good. I always had to be on guard. That is understood. It has been a journey. CeeDee Lamb is also trending in reference to, or in regard to tonight's game. He's not hurt or anything. It's just apparently people are excited that CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper are going to be on the field at the same time. I know I am. A multi-answer test. I am on a never-ending. Let's be honest. John Hinckley's a better singer than me. You heard what someone who can't sing sounds like. Now we're hearing somebody who maybe is an ineffective presidential assassin, but he can write a song, and he can certainly sing better than I can. Quest. Tomorrow is another day. The best is yet to come. Also needs to be mentioned that I don't know if we're going to be back tonight. I don't know if we're going to do a pillow talk tonight. Folks, just... Like I said, I got so much stress. I got so much stress going on. And now something is smelling. stay tuned. Follow the Facebook page. Follow me on Twitter. On Twitter, I'm at Pugs & Co. Or you can just search Pugs Moran on Twitter. I'll keep you updated. But I don't know that I'll do a pillow talk today because there's a Cowboys game. And I said, look, life is hard. There's only a few things per week that I truly look forward to. Maybe after the Cowboys game. How about that? How about I make you that deal? How about I will promise to come on at 10:30 tonight as opposed to the normal 9 o'clock? We'll see. Don't make a promise you can't keep, Pugs.
I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I have got an old guitar, that is all I need. I don't need no 401, I don't have the greed. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending.
You know, every day on Twitter and on Facebook, I post, hey, come listen to the show, come listen to the show. And that's a hint for you people to share it. Share it. Bring a friend. We're trying to... You guys are awesome. You guys that show up every day. I tell you how awesome you are. But when you see that shit, share it. Spread it to your friends. Maybe bring a friend who also might want to... Look, okay, what are you trying to tell me? That you've already done it and all of your friends think I suck? Well, they might be right, but you need to try harder. You need to try harder on my behalf. You know who's trying harder? Adam Reyna. He did it 2 hours ago. 2 hours ago today when I treated Want to Hear Non-Divisive Current Events Talk Radio? Join me at noon for my daily stream where you get all the day's info from someone with hot takes for days. That's me. I'm talking about me. Talk radio like they won't let you hear on the radio. I tweeted that and Adam retweeted it to his people. Why aren't none of you doing this?
Quest. Tomorrow is another day.
Far be it for me to say that Adam Reyna is the best of all of you. Yeah, that would be far be it for me to say.
The best is yet to come. I have found.
Nevertheless, this is exactly... Look, I know that there are some people who are listening with money. And it's those people who are listening with money who I say, give me some money, help the show go. But there are also working class people. A lot of my friends are working class people. They can't be throwing money at this show. They can't support the show in that way. So a good way for you to support the show is to just try and spread the word. Jeff Glenn is here every single day. He supports the show in many ways. You know what? One of the things, he wrote a song for us. Adam Reyna has supported the show in many ways, but he's also just sharing it now. Please share, retweet, forward, whatever the measure is that you use. I'm not going to beg.
A different way, so baffling.
No, I will beg. I will beg because some things I enjoy. I tell you about all the stresses that I have. I tell you about how, I'm a generally happy person. This is a bad month. I tell you about all the stresses. I tell you about all of that stuff. The car, got a rim. I got to get a new rim on my. These 2 hours that I do here are like the most magical hours of my day. I look forward to doing it. I look forward to you people. You people are the best. I love you so much. You make me feel so good. You make me feel worthy, and I appreciate it. And for that reason, I'm going to do it no matter what. I don't care. I don't care if I just... See, turns out I will beg. But you should know that even though I'm begging, I probably ain't going to stop doing this because I like doing it. Also, remember, Marvel movie. Remember? The show's like a Marvel movie.
Different way.
Do you walk out on a Marvel movie during the credits? No, you don't. So, saying that,
So
bye everybody.
to some. nest.
Bum, 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 bum.
Tomorrow is another day. The best is yet to come.
Best to come, best to
I
come.
have found a different way, so baffling to some.
Wow, wow.
I can smile a little now. Things are going good. I always had to be on guard. That is understood. Down the road.
There's going to come a time, and have you guys ever listened to actually what he's saying? I mean, a lot of times when you just listen to the song, you just hear the blah, 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 and it either catches your ear and you find it tuneful and something that you like, but you don't really ever dig into the lyrics. We're going to have to do that. Probably during a Pillow Talk show. We're going to dig into the lyrics here of what John Hinckley is actually saying. We'll break them down. A little lyrical litigation. Why not?
I'll travel far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest.
He is on a never-ending
I
quest.
am on a never-ending quest.
He is on a never-ending quest. Oh, shit. Nobody left. I was testing. I wanted to see if anybody was going to leave. All right, welcome to the backstage portion of the High Noon broadcast. All right, this is where, like I say, I make you people in the chat room. You are very important. You do mean something to me, and I don't like the idea that I have to ignore you during the show, especially when I'm doing these by myself. But I am starting to enjoy doing it by myself. Whoa, that's what she said. So, you know, I think that's probably an overall good thing, being less dependent on bothering other people to engage in this stupid hobby. 3 people left already? It ain't over. All right, I'm going to hold out that maybe they had something going on. So what I do here is I want to go through the chat room and I want to acknowledge some of the things that you've said throughout the course of the show. Ready Days says, hey, everyone, hey, Ready Days. We'll go right through. Oh, see, I start at the beginning, man. Hey, Pugs. All right, hi, Clovis. Thank you. Clovis works for the EPA. Happy birthday. EPA was trending on this day in 1970. The Republican-founded EPA was begun. Adam says, I'd argue the Oakland shooter was an act of terrorism. It's not just political change. It's about sowing chaos. Oakland, you mean Oxford? You mean Oakland County? Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you on that one. No, there's a difference between somebody who is a violent psychopath and somebody who is actually doing this to enact political change because they disagree with something that the government has done. So we'll agree to disagree because reasonable minds can do that. Since he doesn't appear to have direct motivation. Yeah, he was just a crazy person. He was just angry. He's a pissed off little boy. And, he went nuts. If it's more easily acceptable, or if it's more easily accessible, wouldn't it increase the dropout rate in schools? Albert says that. I don't know what that's in reference to. I apologize. When I stream, I just talk a lot of shit, man, and stuff just pours out of my face. So Bill Martin says, Abbott and Cruz may make their money from oil and gas, and a lot of it. Yeah, probably. Yeah, look, the entire political structure in this state is built upon the idea that we don't embrace green solutions. So this state has some money. Worried that it may bring down the education system here in the state in comparison to other countries like China. What might bring? See, I'm sorry, I'm just lost. I don't know what Albert is referring to. Oh, is he talking about legalization? No, that's silly. That's legalization of marijuana isn't going to bring down or rise dropout rates any more than legal beer has or legal wine. No, it's silly. Well, I don't mean to call what you're saying silly. I disagree with that. Rob Barr says Bob Fox was Trubisky's. That's Mitchell Trubisky's first coach. I don't know who Bob Fox is. Albert says Sting rocks. Sting is coming to Dallas. He's going to be playing a show on the 14th, I think, coming up here. He's opening a. They're calling it a venue. Looks like a bar to me over in the Design District. Tickets go on sale Friday. That would be tomorrow, so you can check that out. Is a musical genius who surrounds himself with amazing musicians. Yes. Yeah. Look. Musical genius. Sting is a musical genius. He's great. He's an artist. But, man, we throw around words like genius way too easily. Like, I don't know that Sting is a genius. Man, I just spent 100 hours over the weekend watching Get Back, watching Lennon and McCartney work. Paul McCartney was a genius. So prolific as hell. And John Lennon, I believe, is a genius in many other ways for a bunch of other things. But, I mean, when you watch Paul McCartney just go, hey, I got a new song. And it's like, let it be. It's just, you're hearing it for the first time. He's like, yeah, I wrote this last night while I was taking a shit. I got another one. So here, I thought about this one too. I think this is garbage, though I might throw it out. And it turns out to be Get Back, another classic. I mean, that's genius. To be that prolific, to be able to be that productive. Sting is great. Sting, the Police are amazing. The Police did some really, really unique and terrific things with music. They went places that other bands at the time weren't going. So, I mean, all the credit in the world, but genius, I don't know. I don't know if Sting, I'd have to think about that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just have to think about that. Let's see here. Albert likes Englishmen in New York. Oh, yeah, I don't know. Again, my favorite is Fortress Around Your Heart. Dream of the Blue Turtles, I believe, is from that album. That's actually an album I like from Sting, a solo album. Dream of the Blue Turtles. If I built this fortress around your heart, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, the new venue where Sting is coming is owned by Mark Cuban. I wonder if he had anything to do with being able to book a guy like Sting. Design District always had those expensive designer places. They just have nicer neighbors now. Yeah, that's true, I guess. I guess you're right. I was talking about how the Design District here in Dallas, the last time I was here, was just pretty much a hobo encampment with homeless people and drug addicts, and it was just really messy. But he's right. There were always like the off little gallery or whatever over there. They just now have, big, fancy, expensive hotels surrounding them and stuff like that. Let's see here. Adam says, I can't get my 6-month-old vaccinated, so that is why mandates are good. Help stop the spread of those. That's interesting. I don't know much about what you're supposed to do with a baby in this pandemic era. I don't have one. But yeah, that's interesting. That's a whole nother set of concerns that you gotta worry about if you've got a baby. Be safe. Adam says, Trump wanted to overturn the election. They're trying to see who all was involved. Well, I mean, yeah, okay, all right. But that's what we all think. And, we've seen enough evidence to say that what we think is probably right. But the whole point of the commission is to see if that's right, to find concrete evidence of that. So that's the only reason why I hedged when I was talking about the declarative way in which the headline said that Trump tried to overturn the election. I'm just trying to be fair, man. Nobody's trying to be fair. I'm just trying to be fair. Most people can't even tell you all the rights enumerated in the First Amendment. Most people, if you were to say, name me one item in the Bill of Rights, if you were to phrase it that way to, every America-loving patriot, say, give me one thing that is listed in the Bill of Rights. Tell me one thing. They wouldn't know that you're talking about amendments. They wouldn't know. Wait, Bill of Rights. We the people, right? No, that's the preamble. What are the Bill of Rights? We only know what we need to know to win arguments. That's where we are in this country. That's the level of our education. We know exactly the amount that we need to know to win arguments. And that's why we have Tucker, because Tucker gives us the talking points that we can then scream at people in traffic. Carmine. Leslie, we're talking about Carmine the Big Ragusa. He died. Carmine said that he was so cute. Eddie Mecca. So we're talking about the actor. Leslie, he was so cute. Yeah, he was. He was a boxer. You know I got from rags to riches. Fonzie also set Laverne up with Mork. Oh, Jeff, I don't know if you're kidding or not. I don't remember Fonzie setting Laverne up with Mork. But yeah, so Eddie Mecca, the actor who played Carmine Big Ragu on Laverne and Shirley, died. And we were talking about how the crossover between Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley existed. And there's also a crossover between Happy Days and Mork and Mindy. I think you're joking now that I actually think about the statement you just made there. But do you guys remember when Fonzie hooked up Laverne with Richie Cunningham? And Laverne was like a super whore. I mean, Laverne and Shirley, the way they were first introduced in the episode of Happy Days, were not the Laverne and Shirley that were the title stars of their own show, Laverne and Shirley. That Laverne in Laverne and Shirley, Laverne was a tough chick, but she was, good and decent and honest. And Shirley was sort of this innocent, I'm gonna be a tough girl, but she's so little squeaky that it was kind of cute. But she was a good girl, like a good, well-behaved. It was the Odd Couple. Laverne was the Oscar Madison, and Shirley Feeney was sort of the Felix Unger. That's how they were in Laverne and Shirley. They were both big old hoes, the way they were introduced in Happy Days. Shirley was hanging all over Fonzie. She was going to bang Fonzie, and Laverne was going to bang Richie. That was the whole point of that episode. Fonzie set up Richie with a couple of fast girls, and those fast girls were Laverne and Shirley. And they had to sort of temper that down when they got their own show. Always felt bad for Squiggy. He never got to be with his true love, Shirley, because of Carmine. Yeah, that's right. Squiggy. Lenny and Squiggy were sort of the male retarded version of Laverne and Shirley. Hello, Laverne. Lenny always wanted to be with Laverne, and Squiggy always wanted to be with Shirley, and it never worked out. Did Lenny ever get Laverne? I'm like kind of thinking that maybe that happens at some point. I don't know. Rainey says I need a sound effect that triggers people that I'm arguing with in case they say something that triggers the 15% of them. I need a lot of sound effects, Rainey. I need a lot of sound effects. I don't know how, look, I've got my rim shot and I've got my applause. And honestly, I've got a couple other things that I never use, but those are fine. You know what I would like? Remember the old show I used to do? I like my bell, bing, and I like my buzzer. I love those things. If I had those, I'd use those a lot. Those are fun. That's it. But that's probably all I need. Bell, buzzer, rim shot, applause. That's all. I'm not trying to be wacky. I'm just trying to accent points with interesting sounds. Clovis says, Ethan Hawke's portrayal of John Brown in The Good Lord Bird was great. I recommend. Yeah, I do too. Fantastic. Jeff Glenn also agrees. The Good Lord Bird on Showtime, which is the miniseries starring Ethan Hawke about John Brown, who was executed on this day, 1857. I don't remember. It's very good. Adam Reyna came out late last year. I think he's talking about The Good Lord Bird. I don't know. I feel like I saw it a long time ago, but okay. Came out late last year and has Daveed Diggs as well, who is awesome in Hamilton. And I like that the show didn't have the white savior complex people try to give John Brown. Who tries to give John Brown, because John Brown is like pretty maligned by the history books. They don't treat him well. The official history. When the history of John Brown is actually told in American public schools, it's typically about how he was responsible for bleeding Kansas and all of the deaths, and talk about what a murderous guy he was. They just kind of gloss over the fact that he was doing it all in the name of abolition. I don't know. I don't know. Is he given a white savior complex? I'm not familiar with that. Maybe he does. I'm just not familiar. Clovis says, the famous portrait of John Brown always freaked me out a bit. Is there a famous portrait? I'll have to look that up. Okay, now we are on to people liking Jeff's song. People are liking. Look at Leslie. She says, this is great. Nice job, Jeff. Rob Bars, LOL. My kid will be back tomorrow. Jeff, good for you, man. Yeah, I got my kid this weekend too. It's gonna be my kid, man. My kid is so awesome. Like, he knows his dad is broke. He knows he doesn't. He just really does seem to want to hang out with me, which I really appreciate. Because it's not always. I keep telling him, dude, it's not always gonna be that way. It's not always gonna be that way. Just for now. Kids are awesome. My kid is awesome. I don't know about your kids. Your kids might suck. My kid is awesome. I made a mixtape about watching people. It's mostly Sting. Okay. Adam's got a Sting mixtape. Jeff Glenn, an example of Macca's, I'm guessing that's McCartney's prolificness. In 66, 67, the Beatles were doing live shows and writing and recording Sgt. Pepper and Revolver. McCartney also did the score for the Haley Mills film Family Way. Well, the dude was crazy prolific. And, the writing partnership of Lennon and McCartney, if you're a Beatle fan like me, the reason that's such an amazing writing partnership is because you can hear a Beatles hit, a big famous legacy Beatles song, and you know right away who wrote it and who did. This is a John song, this is a Paul song, and then immediately when you hear a song that they totally collaborated on, then you're like, oh, this is a collaboration. I mean, they had two completely different outlooks, two completely different styles of telling a story. John didn't really tell a story. John was more abstract because he was an artist. He was a true artist. He had ideas and he put them out there. The best example of the difference between the writing styles of Paul and John is in the song. Is it the song It's Getting Better? Yeah, I think it is. Where they trade off lines, right? Paul writes one line, John writes the next. And they always say that the greatest example of the difference in worldview of Paul McCartney and John Lennon is when Paul writes, it's getting better all the time. And then John writes the next line, it couldn't get much worse. That's it. These two guys, man, I don't know. They just came from a different, they were both brilliant, they were both genius, and they just came together. And that's a little bit of an oversimplification, but I think that's a pretty nice little cliff note on how to be able to tell when it's a Paul song or when it's a John song. Adam says, okay, so now we're pretty much into the real time here as far as text messages. Adam says, look up white savior complex. He for sure had it, but in an evangelical way at least, not a selfish one. The issue many people of color have is that while white people created the issue, white people can solve it. Interesting. All right. I think that's about it. I think we're going to be Leslie McDaniel, hot to trot. Who was hot to trot? Oh, we're talking about Laverne and Shirley. Leslie says they were both loose older women on that episode of Happy Days. Yeah, Laverne and Shirley were. They were like whole bags. They were big old party girls. Hot to trot. They were. Absolutely. I agree. All right, thanks, folks. So what I'm thinking is maybe 10:30 tonight. I'll follow, the Facebook posts and all of that good stuff. And I'll let you know. And maybe I just come on for a half hour, 45 minutes. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I definitely want to watch the Cowboy game. I definitely have a whole bunch of stuff that I got to handle today. And yeah, there we are. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. This has been fun. And stay tuned. I guess that's... Yeah, stay tuned. I still... You know, if there's any reason for you to come back later, it's for me to tell you what this weird... Maybe it's the heat.